southern part of the province. B&A Petroleum is available for all your bulk fuel and lubricant needs, with propane at selected locations Monday to Friday. And don't forget, their Cardlock location is accessible 24 hours for your convenience. B&A Petroleum. Fuel you once, fuel you forever.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Regina Motor Products early tire swap offer on now. Book before October 31st to save $10 on an on-rim and $20 on an off-rim tire changeover. Visit Regina Motor Products today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
The big story for today. Well, that would have been easy had the Toronto Blue Jays won last night. They'd be off to the American League Championship Series with a sweep of the New York Yankees. Life's good. Jays fans would be loving it. That didn't happen. It's tough to watch. They blew a 6-1 lead, and they found out that the Yankees can play some sandlot baseball as well and put up some runs. Much like Vlad Guerrero Jr. for the Jays, the Yankees have their own superstar. He's named Aaron Judge, and he's doing everything humanly possible to will his team to a win. He's batting .636 against the Jays. He's putting on a clinic of fundamental baseball, hitting singles, smart base running. Hit that massive home run last night, playing some good defense. He is the only reason that the Yankees will get to play Game 4 today. And if I'm a Jays fan, I'm a little nervous because the Yankees are just as unpredictable as the Jays. And that's good and bad. But that's not our top story. My top story today is the Connor McDavid countdown clock, which starts tonight. In about 5 hours' time. Oiler fans, you got an early gift, Christmas gift earlier this week, when it was announced that number 97 re-signing with the Oilers 2 more years at a measly $12.5 million per season, even with the cap going up. Since then, he has been lauded as the ultimate team guy, willing to take less to build a winner, doing what's good for the club against his own personal gain. And I said on the show back in the summer when all this talk started to happen that he'd have to make a choice. Do you want to win or do you want to get paid? Because in the current NHL, you can't do both. So the new hometown discount deal gives the Oilers 3 years to win a cup. Or multiple cups. As I've heard a couple of different Oiler fans tell me, it's not one, it's multiple cups in the next 3 years. But the clock is now ticking. Oiler fans, can I throw a fresh new angle that maybe you haven't thought of? Connor and his agent may be playing 5D chess while we're all over here sipping Pink Whitney with our 97 jerseys on playing checkers. McDavid's agent, smart guy, Judd Moldaver, the Wasserman Group. So he set his client up in such a way that, let's say in 2 years or in that third year, if things aren't going well the way that Connor wants, that the contract that he signed, remember, hometown discount, only $12.5 million, rising cap, is so attractive and so manageable that almost any team could pick it up. Nobody has room for Connor McDavid in a couple of years at $20 million. You just don't. That will be the dollars and cents of it. But they sure do at 12.5. And prorated. Plus, since Connor has all the control in any trade scenario, he and his agent have made it easier for him to go if he wants to go. This is brilliant. Today, I get it. Nobody is thinking about that. But all along, Connor has said it's about winning and it's about his family. And that may happen in Edmonton. It may not. I'm just saying. TikTok. Clock is running. This is the Sports Cage where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. How are you? Wednesday, Maz in for Barney along with one of the double C's, Kolsch and Schultz. Live on the radio, 620 CKRM. You can also get us on the CKRM app. We do a live video stream of this show on X and on YouTube. You like and you subscribe, and we appreciate that. That's the ultimate show of love. I mean, we've got it, right? If you're a podcast listener, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, you're checking out the show, hit that subscribe button as well. Calls are always welcome here on the Sports Cage, 866-767-0620. Text on the Prairie Land Rentals text line at 306-936-6262. Sports Cage is for Regina Motor Products. The RMP Early Tire Swap offer is on now. Book before October 31st to save $10 on an on-rim tire change and $20 on an off-rim tire change. Visit RMP today. A busy show. Farhan Lalji from TSN is going to join us in just a couple of minutes' time. The BC Lions are the hottest team in the CFL. That offense is looking unstoppable. We'll get his take. Because he told us last week they're building for cold weather football. Like coming to Saskatchewan in November, cold weather football for a playoff game. Arash Madani will join us in hour number 2 to talk Jays. Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, in hour number 3. We are going to hear from Riders coach Corey Mace. New kicker Mike Hughes. Mike Rose, a lot of Mikes on the show today. Our Sports Cage poll question, Connor McDavid has signed that contract extension with the Edmonton Oilers. Will they win the Stanley Cup in the next 3 years? You can vote now by going to sportscage.com. When you're there, sign up for that insider newsletter. When you hit Sports Cage, it's just going to, that little center, what do they call that? Is that a widget? That little thing's going to, boom, pop up right there. Just put in your email. Come on. You've given it to the Gap, Sephora, Amazon. You've given it to everybody else. Let us email you every day with late-breaking sports news that you can't live without. A lot of new faces in Riderville this week. If you are Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, and you're covering the team to be like, and who is that? And who are you are? And you would be... The depth chart on Friday is going to be very interesting for that Argo game. That secondary is going to be almost completely made over. From what we saw a few weeks earlier, there may be one familiar face back there. Will Michael Hughes, the kicker from Appalachian State, be on the roster, kicking at Mosaic after he just flew into town hours ago? I said on Monday, and I'm not saying that J.O. listens to the show. He's a pretty smart guy. He knows what he's doing. I'm like, what if we have to go American at kicker because that's our best kicking option? We have 1,000 Canadian receivers. If it means we start one more there to bring an American kicker on because we have to take an American off somewhere else, if that gives us our best option to win, if Brett Lothar is still hurt and Campbell Fair isn't the guy, next thing you know, that was Monday. Tuesday, Michael Hughes, the American, shows up. Regular season in the NHL kicked off last night. How cool was that? The Florida-Chicago game started at 3 in the afternoon. I like early sports. Have you seen in some of these bigger cities where they're doing like daytime nightclub parties for old people? And I'm talking like people 45 to 65. Nobody can go out and stay out till 2 in the morning anymore. But you can go out in the daytime and be home by 8. Nobody's giving Florida any credit, let alone any chance to win the Stanley Cup again, which would be their 3rd in a row, 4th trip there, especially since the Sasha Barkov injury. But last night against Chicago, they did what they do. They forecheck, make it hard on the D, get good goaltending, and they score timely goals, and they won. Now, is Chicago the best club in the NHL? No. But that Florida brand of hockey is still, it's a formula, and they just plug and play. Some of those new players in there. See their Stanley Cup rings from the other night? Nice. Not a jewelry guy, but those are nice rings. Tonight, the Flames are in Edmonton. Oof. If you're a Flames fan, the Flames and their non-superstar, mostly AHL guys roster you've never heard of may be in tough tonight against freshly contract minted Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Flames fans, it may be a long season. Are you hoping to make the playoffs, or are you hoping that your team doesn't do well and you get a high draft? That's been the Flames for the past decade, right? Are those your options, and when does it ever work for you? And I don't necessarily know that you getting a new hockey rink will automatically make you a better team. Look, the Leafs have been playing in the Air Canada Centre, or whatever it's called these days, maybe it's not, for 20 years now. That didn't bring them a Stanley Cup. So stop thinking that new construction, although fancy, with working bathrooms and a non-crumbling roof, is going to be your ticket to Lord Stanley's Cup. And tonight it's the Vegas debut for Mitch Marner. I think I'm going to like Vegas Mitch. You think Mitch is just going to explode and become the player that Leafs fans always wanted him to be? Kind of like Jack Eichel did. Leaves Buffalo, goes to Vegas. Things are good. If he does turn into Vegas Mitch, and I think he will, you got to give a good Saskatchewan guy, Kelly McCrimmon, who's from Plenty, probably a ton of credit. Because I think when you show up in Vegas and you meet Kelly McCrimmon, there's one way to play Kelly McCrimmon hockey. And it's probably very apparent in the first meeting and every meeting after that. It's Kelly's way, and this is what we do. We've been successful. We won a cup. We've been competitive. And maybe Vegas Mitch is just ready to buy in. And I am ready for it. Oh, Leafs fans, it could be a long year for you too. Time to take our first break on the show. When we come back, Farhan Lalji from TSN will join us. We're going to talk a little CFL football and a little NFL football as well. Joe Flacco was put in the economy section on a flight to Cincinnati earlier today, and I guess he's going to be the starting quarterback this week for the Bengals against Green Bay. We'll dive into that next. This is a Sports Cage on 620 CKRM.
So since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
SaskToday.ca is your local news source, proudly serving communities all across Saskatchewan. Sask Today's team of local journalists are on the ground focusing on local topics that matter to you. From agriculture, local community news, sports, and more. Find it all at SaskToday.ca. Sign up for our daily news digest at SaskToday.ca. From Harvard Media, everywhere.
I still just don't understand it. It's like buying a jigsaw puzzle and only getting half the pieces. I'm Wood Country Woody, and I like things done right. That's why my garage package came from Wood Country. A Wood Country garage package contains everything you need right from the start, including appearance-grade lumber, all your nails and screws, and walk-in doors with cladded jambs. It's one and done right with Wood Country.
Your home is your castle.
In McLean, Estevan, and Tisdale, wood-country.com.
It's time to get the inside story. TSN's Farhan Lalji on Sportscage is brought to you by the Cooperators. Time to get financially fit? Cooperators can build a plan that works for you. Cooperators, investing in your future together.
Bottom of the sixth inning, it is now the Detroit Tigers 5, the Seattle Mariners 3. The Mariners were up 3-0 in this game, looking to move on from Detroit, as we are joined now by Farhan Lalji from TSN. Are you an admitted Seattle Mariners fan? This isn't a secret or whatever. That's your team, right?
Yeah. No, look, I've only got a limited investment level in baseball, but that investment goes to the Mariners. I'm definitely a Mariner fan out here. You get down to the game in, 2.5 hours. It's an easy trip to get to, and it's a fantastic ballpark that stood the test of time the last 30 years. And I'm dying watching this game right now. They had a chance in 2 different innings to blow it open, but had to settle for 1 run in each of those. And all of a sudden now, momentum is completely swung.
That's just these playoffs, and you can't predict that. So if you're one of the experts, I want to talk to you. We'll get to the CFL
and I can't
stuff.
stand the Blue Jays, just for the record. I cannot stand them.
All you got to do, Farhan, to go 3 for 3 here is just be like, and I don't like the Oilers either, and then you really have just declare they're not winning the cup this year either. I don't think they are.
Well, I won't declare that, but I'm 3 for 3. Actually, I can't say I don't like the Oilers. I just can't stand Oiler Twitter. I can't stand the Oilers. I just can't stand Oiler Twitter.
Yes. Assuming they're winning multiple cups in the next 3 years, why don't you get one and then we'll talk? Stop with the
For sure.
parentheses S's. I saw a picture on social media, Joe Flacco in the economy section of a plane on a flight from Cleveland to Cincinnati, where notoriously the owner of the club isn't necessarily the biggest spender when it comes to his players. But word is that Joe Flacco will start for the Bengals on Sunday against Green Bay. Is this the NFL we're living in? There's just not enough quarterbacks anymore?
Well, I mean, look, we saw this a year ago with Minnesota starting a quarterback like basically 2 days into it, and Baker Mayfield has done that at various points, and we've seen this happen before, where a coach can put in the most limited package, and if you're coming over from similar systems, like if you're part of the Shanahan system, and you're transferring that, there's a lot of terminology and concepts that will carry over. But yeah, look, those things aren't sustainable. Eventually, you've got to kind of dive in, but you're also counting on the experience of a 40-year-old, and they want to get this done now. They don't want to wait. And it's too bad. Jake Browning's the guy I'm pretty familiar with because he played at the University of Washington, and I follow that program pretty closely. And when he came in a couple of years ago in place of Burrow in a previous extended injury, he did great. So much so that they signed him to a pretty meaningful contract extension for a backup, and they had no problem moving forward with him as their backup, thinking that they knew what they were getting. And it's unfortunate for them, but a guy like Flacco, if Kirk Cousins eventually gets moved in the next month before the deadline, those guys are going to be expected to come in and play immediately.
You mentioned Baker Mayfield, and you saw what he did on the weekend, leading the comeback. To me, Baker Mayfield is an easy guy to cheer for because he hasn't had an easy road. He's been on multiple teams. Is it nice to see him having some success in Tampa Bay, and he's doing it the Baker way?
Yeah, I think so. And he and Sam Darnold both in that game had a very similar story. They were high picks. They were in the same draft. They got moved on, and they finally found consistent success on their fourth team, and they were teammates for a while together in Carolina. And it just goes to show you, right, that it takes time. This is a complicated position. It's a demanding sport. There's more pressure on this than anything else. I mean, the most high-pressured position in all of sport. Sorry, hockey fans who think it's goalie. It's not.
Whoa.
It's quarterback in the NFL. So, you get better at this the longer you go. And there are some guys who won't get that second opportunity because they come in with just not enough of a body of experience at the collegiate level, right? And you don't get those experiences back. So a guy like, Anthony Richardson probably doesn't get that second opportunity. Zach Wilson probably doesn't get that. You look at a guy like, I mentioned Richardson, but Trey Lance, a guy that just left so much collegiate experience on the table. You might not get those opportunities, but the guys that do still need more time. And when they get their second chance, they generally make the most of it. And both Mayfield and Darnold have. And I think in Mayfield's case, that you can put him in the conversation for MVP right now.
Monday Night Football was Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we don't get to see it. Not a lot of people get a chance to see Jacksonville Jaguar games just because for the longest time, they shouldn't have been on TV. After what I saw on Monday night, that looks like a fun football team. Young, aggressive, got some guys that can play, which we've never heard of because we never see them on TV. I forgot that Trevor Lawrence can be good at football. And what's happening with Kansas City?
Yeah, look, if you look at Kansas City, to me, their season has come down to two plays, both very similar plays. Interceptions at the goal line, right? That Patrick Mahomes threw in Philadelphia and then again in this game. So, we can look at the craziness of that last play involving Trevor Lawrence. And, I'm curious to see what Lawrence becomes because we're all still trying to find out. And to my previous point about Darnold and Mayfield and how it took them some time, it's good for Lawrence that he's been afforded a level of time. Now, he still plays an inconsistent brand of football, which was not what he did in college. Like, I was so bullish on Trevor Lawrence when he came out. I mean, he was pedigreed and ready in the way that guys like Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning were, right? Like, that was the expectation. And he hasn't hit yet, but I still think there's talent there. And even on that final drive, right? Like, he makes an electric throw up the sideline against cover two in the hole, to move the ball down the field 30 yards and then kind of make some weird plays. And, so there's still an up and down to his game that I never expected. As for Mahomes, I'm still betting on him, right? Like, Mahomes is really good at football. And, at the end of the day, they're, like I said, they're 2 plays away from being 5-1. Instead, they're 2-3. So I still believe this team is good enough. They're only going to get better when Rashee Rice gets back in the lineup. And, they've got some injured guys on defense. I think they're going to get better. I can't believe that an Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones team, and Chris Jones looked bad on that final play, is ever going to miss the playoffs.
Week 6 kicks off tomorrow night. Philadelphia is in New York to take on the Giants. I think 99.9% of the modern world with an internet connection and a little common sense are probably going to take the Eagles all over that. Last week, those BC Lions, and you were on the show and you were talking about this offense and their building going, they beat the Calgary Stampeders 38-24. I want to talk about BC, but let's start with Calgary. It seems like the wheels are really starting to come off. The big play VA stuff that was working earlier in the season just isn't there anymore. And now it's to the point of, are we really worried? Do you think that the Stamps may not win another game this year?
I wouldn't say that. And the fourth quarter was a lot to build on. And I think there are some big plays in that offense. They had 3 big shots in that game, including early against, the Damian Alford play. I just don't know that it's enough right now, because when you look at their defense, I thought their defense did some good things against Nathan Rourke. They sacked him 3 times in the first half. But ultimately, they still wound up giving up a lot of big plays. Now, look, BC's offense is good, and Nathan is good, and he's going to do that against everybody. But both sides of the ball are showing signs of life, but it's not enough, because they were so explosive offensively earlier, but really their defense was incredible in the first half of the season, and they're just not playing at that level. So I thought Jalen Hutchings got better. Hicks got better. They were able to get some pressure, but it just wasn't enough to expose or to mask some of the holes in the back end. There were still some tackling issues. But I just don't think all is lost there. I think I've seen enough in 2 games to make me think they're going to win again. Now, are they a contender? I don't think so. But I'm not writing them off to finish on the western side of the playoff bracket or to potentially even win a playoff game. I don't think they're a series Grey Cup contender, but I don't think they're as awful as 0-4 in the last month makes it out to be.
We had Andrew Harris on the show on Monday, and I asked him about Buck Pierce, and he said Buck Pierce is great at finding out what you do well and then exploiting that, and finding out what you don't do well and staying away from that. It seems like he's finding out. He found out whatever. Matthew Betts, you can't stop him now. What's with the switch that got flipped? Because he has been, past 6, 7, 8 weeks, he's been the best defender in the CFL. I don't think there's anybody better.
Yeah, and that's less Buck Pierce than it is Mike Benavides, right? Because he's kind of done some things to unlock him. And I think you got to give Ryan Rigmaiden, their GM, a lot of credit as well, because they added 2 guys on the defensive side of the ball, on the defensive line, in Levi Bell and Bradley Anai, and those guys have become difference makers. And so collectively, their entire defensive line is playing better. Now, look, Matthew Betts has been fantastic. 10 sacks in 4 games. You just can't deny his level of dominance. But it's Jonah Tavai on the inside. It's the other 2 players I mentioned on the edges. And, it's allowing players in the secondary to be a little more comfortable, right? And not maybe get exposed as well. So, we'll see what it looks like going forward here, right? They're playing Edmonton next week. We'll see what happens with Edmonton this week against Winnipeg. If Edmonton beats Winnipeg, you've now got an Edmonton team that thinks they got a shot at the playoffs coming to BC, and a BC team that would then be in control of their own destiny for a home playoff game. So there'll be a lot of stakes in that game. But, in terms of, you mentioned the Buck Pierce effect, I think offensively, he and Nathan Rourke are so on the same page right now. He understands what his guys do well. And if you watch, I don't know if I mentioned this to you on the show last week, but if you watch the Lions in practice and see the number of heavy personnel packages they've got and a big back in the backfield to go along with James Butler, it's a group that really, really looks like it's preparing for prairie weather in the playoffs. And then they're going to get the 2 offensive tackles back next week in Broxton and Allen, and that's just going to make them exponentially better and allow them to play more physically as well.
I mentioned the fact that there's Horvath just bulldozing his way down the field. I'd mentioned the fact that Farhan said that they're planted for cold weather football in Saskatchewan. No, they're not. Now, you've been very honest about the Saskatchewan Roughriders at times this season, and I know that listeners don't like it, but it has been the truth. We beat Ottawa 2013. A lot of us wanted a blowout, but it didn't happen. Our offense seems to, we're not operating with that ease that we did earlier in the season. We only scored 14 of the 20 because the other 6 came on defense. The kicking game wasn't there. It was just, we won, but Now in Saskatchewan, you're seeing you got an American kicker in camp now. Injuries, so that secondary, more strange guys that have never met each other before are going to be starting Friday night. And luckily, the Argos are coming to town without a Nick Arbuckle, probably, who got hurt in that game. Did you see a game that wasn't very fluid against the Red Blacks as well last Friday night?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. And they still are a little herky-jerky offensively right now. And, you look at Trevor Harrison, when you see the final stat line at the end of the game, and he's over 340 yards and a really high completion percentage, and you just expect more of a bottom-line production. So, whether it's red zone, whether it's penalties, there are things there that are kind of making them work a little harder than they need to. And we talked about this last week that, they're reintroducing all these players back into the lineup. And I think it's going to help them because if you want to start an American kicker at some point, you're going to have to figure out the ratio elsewhere. And then you don't have Devon Campbell as well, who's not going to play this week. So it puts some pressure on the offensive side of the ball to have a bunch of these Canadian receivers in the game who can all play. But, they were doing so well with Myers and Johnson, earlier in the year. And so I do think it's taking a while for them to just get a little more fluid. And I believe in Trevor Harris a lot and Mark Mueller as well. So I think they're going to figure it out. But I just think it's taking some time. And like I said, if they decide to go with an American kicker, it's only going to get more complicated ratio-wise. And then on the other side, just so you know, Arbuckle and Wynton McManus are both being shut down for the season in Toronto. So, they're going to play some guys that you saw it easier against Ottawa last week. It's not going to be easier against Toronto as well.
Well, for a lot of us Rider fans, we're hoping that Toronto come to town will cure our ills for whatever they are. Outside of the Toronto-Saskatchewan game, you've got Calgary at Hamilton, you've got Winnipeg at Edmonton, you've got Ottawa at Montreal. What's the most intriguing game on the schedule for you this weekend?
Well, I mentioned before the Winnipeg-Edmonton game, right? And I want to know if what we saw from Winnipeg last week is a one-off. And look,
Yeah.
I understand that part of their problems offensively were not having Zach Collaros in the lineup, and you can't function offensively with Chris Streveler there for long term. You're gonna have to find miraculous ways to win games, which they did at times. But they looked so good, and the timing with Zach looked so instant, way better than it's looked at any point when Zach has played earlier in the year. So, is that all of a sudden, the bear awakening, and now we're going to be stuck with Winnipeg again in a Grey Cup game? We'll see. But so that's my concern. And with Edmonton, you look at how well they've been playing of late, and this is it, right? Ottawa and Toronto are out. Edmonton's still in the mix, and if they can win some of these games, the schedule sets up for them in terms of being able to play Winnipeg and in terms of being able to play Calgary, and BC. Now BC's clinched a playoff spot, but the other two haven't yet, so they can still make life difficult for these teams. So they're going to be an awfully motivated bunch. So that game intrigues me more than any.
Calgary does go to Hamilton, and you'd mentioned they did play a little better in that fourth quarter against the Lions. I don't know if a moral victory this week is going to be enough. Calgary has to find a way somehow on the road to beat the Ticats. Is it as simple as they just have to stick with Dietrich Mills and not get away from that run game through all four quarters and just try and get back to Stampeder football?
Yeah, I mean, look, what was Stampeder football, right? Like everything is easier when you play with a lead. And if your defense is generating a lot of turnovers and putting you in position and you're hitting explosive plays, then that's going to work out for you. But if you don't have that and all of a sudden you fall behind, because Bo Levi Mitchell and Hamilton, they've got the ability to create explosive plays as well. So it's not as easy as that. Should they commit more to the run game early on? Absolutely they should. But if all of a sudden Bo dials up a couple of big ones, and teams know that going in, right? Like when you see certain offenses and certain defenses, you've got to do a little bit more, play it a certain way, right? And when teams play the Lions, coaches are going to get more aggressive offensively because they know they can't settle for threes. They know, they're going to do some things because they're going to need offense. And when you play Calgary, it's the same thing. You need to play with a lead so that they can't lean on the run game. And do you load up against the run early and see if they can take some shots? So there's, I'm be interested to see how Brett Monson plays that defensively for Hamilton, their defensive coordinator, in that game. But, we'll see if VA can dial up some deep ones early on in that game and play with a lead so that Mills can be more involved.
Bad news. It is now Detroit 8, Seattle 3, bottom of the 7th.
Oh, I'm hearing the cheering on the TV over there, so I'm dying here.
We'll wrap on this. Are the Vancouver Canucks a playoff team this year, in your opinion?
Okay, so I'm going to say yes, but I'm not saying that with a high degree of confidence. I think they're going to finish with 97 or 98 points, and I think they're going to get in as a wild card team. I don't believe they're going to finish in the top of their division. Thatcher Demko, if Thatcher Demko stays healthy, will always keep them in the playoff conversation. And if Elias Pettersson can get, he's not going to be a 100-point player again, but if he can get to the mid-80s and be a point-a-game guy again, I think that'll be, enough for them to add some things offensively. So a lot of ifs around the Canucks right now. They need this to happen. They need that to happen. They need health here. They need scoring here. But yeah, I think they're going to find a way to squeak in.
Take that, Oiler fans. And then when they knock you out in the first round, boy, is that going to be sweet. And Farhan called it way back in early October. All right.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all.
Okay.
If you're going to save the Chiefs, you can't save that one.
Okay. Farhan Lalji from TSN, brought to you by the Cooperators. We'll catch up with you next week, sir. Hey, don't forget the 620 CKRM Rider Broadcast Network, brought to you by the Cooperators, has countdown to kickoff on Friday, starting at 3. Actually, starting at 4. Rider pregame show at 5. And Dave and Luke will have the call Riders and Argos kickoff at 7. And when the Riders play, get the KFC Game Day Special, the Big Crunch for $4.95 and the Big Crunch Combo for $7.95 at participating KFC locations. All right, time to take another break. When we come back, we're going to dive into last night's Jays game. It was all well and good, right? Third inning, 6-1. We're going to the American League Championship Series. And then Aaron Judge happened. The Major League story next. Ooh, this Detroit-Seattle game's got out of control. This is the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM.
Ready to raise your shower game? Rent a water heater and water softener together from Reliance Heath and turn every shower into a spa-worthy experience. Right now, when you rent a new water heater and water softener together, you'll get $400 back, sent by check after installation. Why settle for meh when you can upgrade your whole home's water and get big cashback savings? Don't miss out on this limited time offer.
Call on Reliance.
Call on Reliance Heath today.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50-50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street. This is Sports Cage. Watch our live stream at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Oh, no, we're going to the top of the 8th inning. It is the Detroit Tigers now 8, Seattle Mariners 3. I think the Tigers are firmly in control of this game. And if you watched the first couple innings, Seattle in a lock. They were up 3-0 and cruising, and then Detroit's bats came alive. We're bottom of the first, 1-1. Brewers and Cubs. Milwaukee leads that best-of-5 series 2-0. With a win, the Brewers move on. That ballpark, because we don't see a lot of Brewers games on TV, that's a nice place. It's a nice place. The Jays and Yankees will kick off at 5, and you got Phillies and Dodgers 7 o'clock tonight. With a win, the Dodgers could move on. I know a lot of people, for Toronto Blue Jay fans, it's been probably the best way to describe it. It's been a fun year to be a Jays fan. And for a lot of us, that means rediscovering the Toronto Blue Jays because they haven't really been relevant. There was 10 years ago in the bat flip, yes, but you got to go back 20 years before that when they won the World Series. So for a lot of people, and myself included, it's been kind of fun to get back into Blue Jay baseball. Like you're paying attention. And I haven't watched as much Blue Jay baseball. Probably watched more this year than I have in the past 5 combined. Because they're relevant. So last night, it was good. We're at let me set the stage. Colson, let me set the stage. We're at my in-laws. My father-in-law, Dave, it was his 83rd birthday yesterday. We had pizza. Not my favorite kind of pizza, but whatever. My mother-in-law, she chose. And cake. Good cake. It's a birthday, Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Got to splurge, all right? And that's expensive. That's high-end these days. We're watching this Jays game. It's 6-1. I'm like, I got to go. Got stuff to do. Laundry. I do the kids' laundry if you've never listened to the show before. Run a good all-inclusive for the family. Come to 6-1. I come out of the laundry room, and all is good. I turned the TV. I had on a different channel. Turn it. It's 6-6. And I'm panicked. Like a lot of other Jays fans. I am panicked. And I'm like, what has happened? Well, the Yankees came alive. And Colson, I think we have this teed up ready to go. Aaron Judge and the Yankees happened to the Blue Jays last night after they went up 6-1.
Down to get that ball and lift it to Santander to get home. Piece of hitting by Ben Rice to make it 9-6. Ground ball right side that gets by Guerrero. Here comes Rosario. Santander.
There they are.
No chance. Throw to second late. No, they say that he's out. Well, says
And all I could think as I'm watching this is the Yankees are doing to us what we do to them, scoring runs in bunches, getting timely hitting, playing some shoddy defense from time to time, and just like running up the score. But one of the questions, because last night ended up being a Jays pitching staff by committee, after they took out Shane Bieber, what was that, after the 3rd inning? And I'm like, why are we taking him out? Like, it's a little early, a little too early. This is what John Schneider said after the game about making that pitching change and taking Bieber out.
John, just wondering what you made of Shane today, and then what did you kind of see in that 3rd inning when you made the decision to take him out?
Yeah, it's a tough decision, obviously. You know, I thought he was throwing the ball fairly well. I thought his secondary stuff was really good in the 2nd inning, and then just looked like he was, you know, having a little bit of trouble missing bats. You know, and then you kind of get into, you know, pitches that inning and things like that. Again, you're trying to just do what you can, what you think is best to win the game right now. You know, and I get how it looks with a bullpen game tomorrow and all that kind of stuff, but man, these guys are going to be ready to go. But I thought Shane was, you know, we didn't help him, you know, 1st inning, obviously. I thought Shane handled himself really well. You know, it sucks for him. It wasn't a longer outing. You know what I mean? I know he's looking forward to this game, and we were looking forward to him pitching, but we kind of just didn't play in sync today for him.
Lewis Varland goes tonight for the Jays. He's got a no-one run record with a 6.75 ERA. Oof. Cam Schlittler, rookie sensation, 1-0. That last start, that last series against the Red Sox, 12 Ks, ERA of 0. Man, he throws hard. I had mentioned to Arash Madani, he is coming up at the start of hour 2, that if they weren't able to get to Schlittler in this series, I think it would have been a huge mistake, even if you had to move him up in the rotation, because he's pitched so well and he's just so good that the Yankees may not get a chance to use him, but they will tonight. And I mentioned the Aaron Judge effect. Now, Colson, this is crazy. So here's Aaron Judge's 2025 postseason stats. 6 games, 22 at-bats, scored 5 runs, 11 hits, 2 doubles, 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, hit by a pitch, only struck out 4 times. His batting average in the playoffs is .500, but against the Jays, it's .636. And his on-base percentage is .577, and his slugging percentage is .727. Can Aaron Judge humanly do any more than what he's done to try and make the New York Yankees win a baseball game?
I mean, technically, probably, but literally, I don't know. You throw him in a pitcher or catcher too, maybe.
Yeah, the Shohei effect.
Yeah.
As a sports fan, it's nice to see on the Jays side Vlad Guerrero and Aaron Judge, your two highest paid guys, your legit superstars, playing like legit superstars when it matters the most. That's probably the best part about this, is you're not feeling cheated like Giancarlo Stanton. When you come up, I'm like, you're just there to whiff at pitches? Come on. Like, Judge is doing everything he can. You see him on the bench, and he's, even when they were down 6-1, you can see him, he's clapping, he's cheering on guys, because, Colson, be honest, when it was 6-1, I honestly didn't think that the Jays were going to lose that game. That's why I'm leaving. I got laundry to do. I got a ton of other stuff to do. This game is over.
Yeah,
I know it's the third inning, but it's over. I'm done.
I was finishing up posting the Sportscage, leaving the office here, and I'm like, 6-1, easy. I get home, and I'm like, what the heck happened? I just drove home. Like, come on, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., so far in the ALDS, he's earning his money. Game 1, leadoff solo home run. Game 2, grand slam. Game 3, 2-run home run, first inning. His batting average is .615. He's got 8 hits and 13 at-bats.
My favorite part of the grand slam, and it's showing on our stream right now, is while he's taking those first few pitches, he's just dancing and shimmying up there, waiting for the pitches to come. Like, he's in a good mood. He's just like, yeah, I'm enjoying this, having fun. And then finally swings and bam, grand slam.
And the Yankees took some advice that, like last night, you saw them, they intentionally walked him. They didn't let him hit. Like, why would you? He's done enough damage. And I think it was a smart play. Now, I want to ask you, because there was a lot of controversy, that when the Jays ended up getting those 6 runs, somebody up from the Jays, and I can't remember who, that was claimed that he got hit by a pitch. But the replay clearly showed it didn't hit his arm or his wrist. I'm like, how are they calling this that he was hit and he's getting a base? Because then next thing you know, the floodgates open and it went all that. And I had no idea about replays in baseball, much like in football. You only get so many, and then you can't challenge anything else. There was a play later in the game, but it was an out at first.
And I imagine there's only so many.
Come on, command center.
I imagine there's only so many plays you can challenge too, and stuff like that, right? So, yeah, I'm like you. I'm not as familiar with the challenging system in baseball, though I know that they've got pitch challenging coming up this next year.
If you're a Jays fan and you're nervous for tonight, you should be, because the Jays and the Yankees are very bipolar and they're very similar. They both can look like world beaters and they both can look like the worst team in baseball, all within a couple of innings, where it's like, yeah, they can lock it down. Next thing you know, well, the lock is gone. The keys have been thrown in the river and we don't know where it is because we've forgotten how to play defense. You know, you're seeing, and it's so funny, as kids, when we learn how to play baseball or softball, all of the fundamentals, and look at in playoff baseball, it always comes in. The small plays, like that innocent single to first, and next thing you know, you can't leg it out, or you bobble it for a second, and a guy gets on, and then that's all they need to open things up. Man.
Yeah, like you were saying, Aaron Judge just crushing it thus far in the postseason.
Yeah, just looking. OPS 1.304 home runs. Some people would say, well, we need more home runs. Sure, we'd like more home runs, but that one he hit last night, that 3-run shot that hit the foul pole, that was pretty nice. Because what would you say, a foot over? And it's a different ball game. If that ball's foul, there is no comeback. There is no comeback without Aaron Judge. And I know that they don't give out awards for individual series, although they do celebrate after individual series. Colson, what are your thoughts on that? When they win after each series, when they do like the goggles and the champagne, shouldn't you say that for winning the World Series? I know baseball doesn't do that. Hockey, could you imagine in hockey if you celebrated after every series like that?
Yeah. like we talk about how emotional sports can be, where you kind of amp yourself up and get so emotionally invested into it, right? And I feel like after every series, so you're celebrating, like if you take the long route, you're celebrating 3 times before you get to the World Series. I think I would feel emotionally exhausted by the time getting there. So I don't understand that.
Can I equate this to parenting?
Sure.
And schools. You have no kids, but one day you will, Wilson. And then you too will run an all-inclusive for them and buy them new iPads when they do something wrong, but you're the one getting in trouble. This is like school graduations. Remember in school, there was a graduation in grade 8 and then grade 12.
Mm-hmm.
But now there's a preschool graduation into those. There's a kindergarten graduation sometime into that. And then if there's a middle school, there's that graduation. And then there's a junior high. There's graduation ceremonies all along the way. That's what I feel like with Major League Baseball. It's like, well, we won. Break out the goggles and the beers and the champagne.
Yeah. The only comment I'll make on that education comparison or analogy is that I heard it explained where someone's like, yeah, my dad came. I know how he stands on it. He doesn't support these, but he also knows that education is important. So he's going to come show up and show me that education is important to him. So I'm like, you can do both, technically still, but yeah.
Oh, no.
We'll see when I have to go to them.
Cool. Oh, exactly. And then, well, no, Coulson, not only are you going to have to go, like you're going, that.
Oh, yeah.
I've never met your wife. You already have no say in this. But we need to buy a special outfit for the graduation. I'm like, but they're going to wear it once and he's going to outgrow it. Where is he going to wear formal wear as a 5-year-old outside of the kindergarten or the preschool graduation? He's not. But okay, well, I guess he does need a new outfit. And then you get the same again. So there's not only going, then there's also that. And there was one kid at preschool graduation this year. I will give his parents credit. He had a tuxedo on. And he looked ballin'. There's always that one, you know this, at a Christmas concert or a school at a band concert, there's always that one kid, guy or girl, whose parents dress them in formal wear, and they just like stand out and they dazzle.
And they're standing
everybody else
right next to the kid in the tank top and sweatpants. That's what it is. You know it.
Are you taking a glimpse into my past life to know what sort of how we rolled back in the day? But Coulson, in all fairness to the kid in the sweats and the tank top, when you see the mom and dad in the crowd and they're dressed similar, the apple never falls far from the tree. It ain't the kid. It ain't the kid's fault. If the gun show is out in early December at a school concert with mom and dad, do not be shocked when the gun show is on stage as well, singing, "Oh Come All Ye Faithful." That is, that's a given. Breaking news here. Score update. The Chicago Cubs are now leading the Milwaukee Brewers. First inning. It's now 3-1. And still 8-3 Tigers over the Mariners. Time to take a break. Ticker coming up. Also, we're going to hear from Coach Corey Mace from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Arash Madani will join us. We'll get the latest from the Blue Jays. This is the Sportscage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
Rider Nation lives on 620 CKRM. I'm Dave Thomas, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Friday is game day as the Riders take on the Toronto Argonauts. Countdown to kickoff with Justin Dunk and Tegan Whitkos at 4. The pregame show's at 6, and kickoff with Luke Mullender and I is at 7. Saskatchewan Roughrider football on the Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network is brought to you by Young's Equipment, GMS Insurance, and PlayNow.com. Stream every moment of Rider football at Sportscage.com.
Back to our regular spot, Pump Jacks Cathedral.
I thought Pump Jacks was a kind of boot polish till last month.
What are you getting?
Kerwin's crispy ribs and a cold pint of local craft. Crispy, meaty, beautiful.
You had me at meaty.
Plus, we got live music on the weekends, big screens. This place is basically my second marriage.
And way cheaper than the first.
On the corner of Albert and 13th, Pump Jacks Cathedral Saloon and Steakhouse. Come early, stay late. The place where friends meet.
SEIU West members are
phlebotomist, food service worker, security officer, plumber,
continuing care assistant,
porter, licensed practical nurse, medical device reprocessing worker, purchasing agent,
environmental services worker,
social services worker, cook, health information management practitioner, switchboard operator,
distribution worker.
The backbone of your public health care system. Learn more at seius.ca.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. Bundle and save with Reliance Heath. Rent a new water heater and softener together and get $400 cash back. Call on Reliance Heath today.
Major League Baseball playoffs, bottom of the 8th inning. It's the Detroit Tigers 8, the Seattle Mariners 3. With a win, the Tigers would tie up that series and force Game 5. Brewers and Cubs, top of the second. Cubs leading 4-1. Milwaukee leads that series 2-0. Still to come, you've got the Jays and the Yankees. Jays up in that series 2-1. First pitch is going to be around 5:08, 5:10 from the Bronx. And then tonight, it's going to be the Phillies at the Dodgers. Dodgers leading that best of 5, 2-0. Western Hockey League tonight. The Vancouver Giants are in Prince Albert to take on the Raiders. Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Flin Flon in Melville to take on the Millionaires. Prairie Junior Hockey League. Saskatoon Royals in Martinsville to take on the Chiefs. Saskatchewan under 18 AAA. You've got the Mintos of PA in Battleford to take on the Stars. The Regina Pats Canadians are on the road in Notre Dame to take on the Hounds. Face-off there will go at 7:30. National Hockey League tonight. A bunch of games. Canadians at Leafs. Flames, Oilers, your late game. That's going to be an 8 o'clock face-off. As we mentioned earlier in the show, the Connor McDavid clock is now ticking. 3 years. Colson set the clock for 3 years. It is now officially ticking. A couple days away from the Riders taking on the Argos at Mosaic on Friday night. That's going to be a 7 o'clock kickoff. Forecast right now looks good. It's going to get a little chilly on the Thanksgiving Day long weekend. Like, what are we talking about, 6 on Thanksgiving Monday? Kickoff on Friday should be sunny and 18 degrees. But get a program when you get there. Could be a lot of new players on the field for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And the Argonauts, too. Farhan Lalji just told us Winton McManus is being shut down for the season. He's their best defender. And Nick Arbuckle as well. So it's going to be the Daggy show. And Riders really got to put on a show Friday night and put in a good effort to go. Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, will join the show live in hour number 3. Earlier today, he had a chance to catch up with Saskatchewan Roughrider defender Mike Rose, who played his 101st game in the CFL last week in Ottawa.
Mike Rose in Ottawa, it was game 101 of your Canadian Football League career. If I rewind to 2019, let's say, and I said, hey, you're going to play 101 games in the Canadian Football League, what would you have said?
I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it.
Now, you do get 101 games in, though. Do you reflect back on that? Do you celebrate that? Do you mark the achievement in any way?
Man, I love it, man. You know, when I got to Calgary, Michael Johnson actually said that, you know, if they keep bringing in guys, you know, who aren't like Mike, I'll probably play forever. And he was right. He's still playing. So that works.
Tell me about your introduction and initiation to the Canadian Football League. You obviously had a bunch of football under your belt before you arrived north of the 49th. What did you have to do to be successful and allow yourself to sustain a career over 101 games so far?
I think the knock on me coming out of college was, you know, just my effort and sometimes just my overall game. So I just worked on my game, and when I got up here, I took the opportunity to get better.
That seems very disrespectful that someone would ever question another athlete's effort. Did you find it that way?
I mean, it helped me. It gave me what I needed to get better.
Did you have a welcome to the CFL moment, whether it was in game 1? I know your first career sack was against the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Mm-hmm. You know, my welcome to the CFL moment was I think I fought Yoshi the first game I ever played in 2017 in -40. So I had to bump with my teammate.
That's a welcome to the CFL moment, to be sure. So you look back, what has allowed you to continue to evolve your game and stay in the Canadian Football League playing at the level that you are?
Man, I played with some really good D tackles in Calgary, just some great D linemen. Charleston Hughes, Cordero Law, Jagarrett Davis, and then, you got Junior Turner, Derek Wiggin, Micah Johnson, the list goes on. Like you got some Hall of Famers, some All-Stars. I play with a really good group of people.
Do you have to change your game consistently to stay playing at the level that you are? Or is it just, I'm Mike Rose, this is what I do and I know what I do best?
I'm going to show up and do what I do, and if it don't work, we're going to try it again next week.
You've been in this league now 101 games. You've seen a lot of different things. What do you see in this team as you go down this stretch, and maybe starting with an opportunity to clinch the West Division and a spot in the Western Final?
We need to do what we need to do to get where we need to go, and all that means is show up, play Rider football.
Do you have to do anything different as far as your approach to ramp up towards the playoffs? I know that Luke Mullender is going to sit on me for even asking that. He goes, no, professional athletes, they come out and they perform at peak all the time.
If you're a gamer, you'll show up on game day and ball out. No one should have to get you hyped as a professional athlete. You got to do it yourself, and I think that's the key to longevity. You can't have anybody else hyping you up. You got to hype yourself up every day.
For 101 games, have you been able to do that, and can you continue to do that?
Absolutely. I'm going to be hyper every day. I get to play football.
Mike, congratulations on 101 games.
Thank you very much.
This is 620 CKRM Regina, the voice of Saskatchewan, a Harvard media station. Streaming everywhere at 620CKRM.com.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM news. The city of Regina is planning to apply for provincial disaster relief after a major rainstorm last month. City staff say it would allow residents to access supports following widespread flooding on September 13th. During that thunderstorm, several major routes had to be closed as the city's stormwater system couldn't keep up with the deluge. The city says Service Regina received 124 service requests related to flooded homes. The Ministry of Social Services is relocating Moose Jaw's Willow Lodge homeless shelter out of the downtown area. Premier Scott Moe made the announcement during a cabinet meeting at Casino Moose Jaw. Mayor James Murdoch said the city has been asked to suggest possible new sites. MLAs Tim McLeod, Megan Patterson, and Blaine McLeod also attended. The Sask Party government said the province would work with the city to find a location that won't affect downtown businesses or residents. Downtown Moose Jaw Association Chair Alex Carlton said business owners support compassion, but also want to protect the city's tourism economy. A Saskatchewan delegation led by Ministers Eric Schmalz and Ken Cheveldayoff met federal leaders in Ottawa about renewing cost-shared municipal infrastructure programs. They spoke about partnerships that strengthen cities and rural areas. Schmalz said all levels of government must work together to fund key projects. Mayors James Murdoch of Moose Jaw and Aaron Keenley of Yorkton said federal investment in municipalities supports Canada's future. Saskatchewan offered to cover one-third of project costs if Ottawa renews the funding partnership. Saskatchewan continues to have some of Canada's lowest rent prices. A new Rentals.ca report shows the province's average rent dipped 0.3% over the last year to $1,374, while the national average fell 3.2% to $2,123. Urban Nation President Sean Hildebrand said affordability has improved as new supply outpaces demand. The provincial government says its housing programs and incentives are helping keep rents among the lowest in the country. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says Prime Minister Mark Carney is on the right path to getting a deal done with the United States on tariffs. While Carney left D.C. without any deal with President Donald Trump, Smith says he's on the right path.
If you go to the U.S. president and say, you should do this because it helps me, or you should stop doing this because it hurts me, that is not his love language. His love language is, let me tell you how I can make America even greater.
Smith made the remarks at a conference in Toronto hosted by BMO and Eurasia Group. She says it's important to cultivate a relationship with Trump rather than a more antagonistic elbows-up approach to get a deal. And Dolly Parton ain't dead yet, the country superstar said on social media today, following public speculation about her health. Her post comes after Dolly Parton's sister posted on Facebook asking for prayers for her sister. Here's Dolly Parton on Instagram.
I know lately everybody thinks that I am sicker than I am. Do I look sick to you? I'm working hard here. Anyway, I wanted to put everybody's mind at ease, those of you that seem to be real concerned, which I appreciate.
The 79-year-old recently announced she was delaying her Las Vegas residency from December to next fall after she said she would be undergoing some medical procedures. That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com.
620 CKRM Precision Weather Forecast is brought to you by Linex Regina. Serious protection. Killer looks at 1865 McCarra Street. Clear and cool tonight with a low of 4. Tomorrow sunny and a high of 17. For game day on Friday, Riders taking on the Argos. Sunshine and a high of 19. For Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 22. For Sunday, rain showers and a high of only 8. For Thanksgiving Monday, a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 6. Right now, sunny and 22 in Regina.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Regina Motor Products early tire swap offer on now. Book before October 31st to save $10 on an on-rim and $20 on an off-rim tire changeover. Visit Regina Motor Products today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
We've got a final from Detroit. Tigers 9, Mariners 3. Detroit right back in this series. The Tigers today look like the Tigers of the regular season, minus the last couple weeks. There. Sports Cage, hour number 2. Thanks for being part of it. Prairie Land Rentals text line is 936-6262. You can always call toll-free 866-767-0620. YouTube chat's going as well. I love when Farhan comes on because he shoots it straight, and he's said a lot of nice things about the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but he's also been completely honest about the Saskatchewan Roughriders and what he doesn't love. And then people just love to be like, why don't you tell us how you really feel, that you really don't like this team? And your take on the Canucks sucks as well. Oof. The Canucks. Week 19 in the CFL. Friday night it starts. Toronto at Saskatchewan. Saturday doubleheader. You've got Calgary at Hamilton. Winnipeg at Edmonton. And then Monday, this could be a Thanksgiving massacre. In Montreal, the Red Blacks are coming to town. And what is very reminiscent about 2023, which is happening right now, but it's two teams, the Montreal Alouettes and the BC Lions are going on that winning streak that the Als did that propelled them into the playoffs and then to winning the Grey Cup. Unless something really falls off the rails, and there's bad turkey on Sunday night, Monday, you'd think that the Alouettes come away with a win against the Red Blacks. And I brought this up on the show the other day, and I asked Darian, if you're running the Red Blacks organization and you know you're not keeping Bob Dice, do you let him go now? You're still going to have to pay him because of the rules. But you have Rick Campbell, and maybe he doesn't become your head coach, but maybe he gives you an analysis of players or things maybe you haven't seen. And he said, Dice is a great guy. He's a very good guy. But this is pro sports. You're hired to be fired, and it just hasn't worked. They made the playoffs once in 6 years, I believe. That's not enough. That's not results. Winnipeg at Edmonton. If the Elks, and here's what we learned, because we get stung by it, the Elks have learned how to hang around. It's not a Picasso. That's for sure. But they have learned how to hang around. They're kind of scrappy like their quarterback, Cody Fajardo. Love or hate Cody, he's a gamer. When he was here in Rider Nation, we loved the fact that he was scrappy and gave us chances to win games. Sometimes games we had no business being in. Now, did Cody make some incredibly boneheaded plays that cost us games or put us in tough spots? Yes, but he's just one of those guys that seems to have it. But with how Winnipeg, in their game before the bye, in beating the Hamilton Ticats, and that offense looking good, the best they've looked all year, that could be, to me, a Winnipeg blowout. Or maybe it's 28-26 Elks. You don't know. Justin Rankin got signed to a 2-year contract extension. He'll be with the Elks till the end of the 2027 season. Well deserved. To me, he's been one of their best players all year by far. The Toronto Argonauts will come to Saskatchewan on Friday to take on the Riders, and it's going to be an Argonaut team. If we need a program to find out who these Riders are, there's a bunch of stars for the Argos that won't be playing. Winton McManus won't be playing. Shut down for the season because of injury. I don't think he's been right all year. He got hurt in training camp, I think. I think he hurt his foot, never been right. And then Nick Arbuckle got sacked last week. That looked painful. He's out. The Jarrett Nagy's going to be the starting quarterback. You got to know that Ryan Dinwiddie will have his troops, whoever they are, fired up, ready to go on Friday night. Dave Thomas had a chance to catch up with Coach Corey Mace after practice today. This is what Coach Mace had to say, what he's expecting from Toronto, who are playing for jobs this week.
Yeah, I know obviously that staff very well, and a lot of those players, they take pride in their performance. So I expect their best effort, man. And, who knows what they do as far as roster and how they put it out there. But whoever's out there has definitely got something to play for. So I don't care how you cut it. That head coach and that staff have won a lot of games, and so have those players. So we got to be on it.
This would be an incredibly bad trap game to get caught up in this. For the Riders to be looking down the road and past the Argos. We're Rider fans. We've had it happen before. We'd find some way to deal with it. We'd freak out on everybody we know, but we'd eventually find a way to figure out how we'd handle it if we didn't play well and we end up losing on Friday. Coach was asked, will Brett Lothar play on Friday nights?
Yeah, no decision yet. We had the kicker swing him today, so we'll sit down and review the tape, and then we'll make our decision.
And then here's Coach Mace on the newest Saskatchewan Roughrider, who was brought in yesterday, place kicker Michael Hughes.
Yeah, just a kid. He's got a big leg. He can be mad, but yesterday he looked at me. He said, "Yeah, thanks, Coach. What position do you coach?" That's great, and he's still here actually. So good on him. But no, he's a great kid, man. He's successful college career, and we brought him in here just to see if it could be a solution, and also just added competition. And as we push towards the back end of the season and the playoffs. Like always, we're going to try to find the best person to put out there at any position. So just another option for us.
Not knowing who the head coach is and then asking him what he coached, that's a ballsy move, Michael Hughes. Saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. I think this show automatically loves you, even if you never suit up for a game. You are our kind of guy, Mike. Why not? What do we got to lose? Put him in. A little Canadian cash game check. Could you imagine? Gets that deposited, goes back to like Chase Bank in America or US Bank. Be like, hey, whoa. Phones his agent. What happened here? It's called the exchange rate, son. I know that maybe in Appalachian State, one of the classes you didn't take was North American business and the Canadian dollar versus the US dollar, but that's the reality. Learn to love it. Michael Hughes could be the new place kicker on Friday night. Here's Coach Mace on what has made Mike Rose last 101 games in the CFL.
Yeah, with Mike, we always have sidebar conversations about exactly that and different things that he wants to execute throughout the game, or talking over his plan and how he thinks that he can affect the game. And not a lot of guys always do that. It's not that they keep to themselves or whatever, but he's always thinking beyond the game plan and other things that he can do within it. So he's a professional, and he's always been available, which always helps. He's made a lot of plays throughout his career, and certainly he still continue to make some. So just like we were talking about before, another guy, when we added to the roster, we thought that it can only help the position, and it has.
Mike Rose, to me, has been one of the best free agent signings in the offseason. Not necessarily flashy numbers, but he's just always there. Always around the ball, it seems. And this is Coach Mace on overcoming an injury like Thomas Bertrand, who Don had.
Yeah, everybody's different. The mental aspect is always kind of tough. Just sitting out and watching your brothers be able to do the work that you want to do, but then also just believing in the confidence that whatever injury that you're recovering from, that you're still operating at at the same speed and same power and stuff that you had before. But like anything, man, you're not going to know until you go and do it. So, the best thing you can do is just tell those guys, you've been cleared. You just trust that process and go play. Unfortunately, in this sport, the injury rate is hovering somewhere around 100% at some point. So if you're out there, you just got to go. You can't think about that kind of stuff.
When the depth chart came out last week, there were 7 changes. 7 in, 7 out. The depth chart this week, when it comes out, games on Friday, comes out Thursday morning. Hopefully there's a lot of toner in the printer. There's going to probably multiple changes for this week. The injury, Colson, do we have that ready to go? The injury report from today of who did and who didn't. Tavon Campbell, that's a big one. Jackson Ford, we know. Micah Johnson, let's see, Nelson LeCombo, Roland Milligan, foot knee, he's out. Shane Ray still out with that shoulder. Malik Straker, illness. Hopefully that's just short term and he could play. He was in the lineup last week. And Tommy Stevens, okay, it's a knee, and he's out. One of the players on the report yesterday was Dante Myers. Questionable with an ankle. Let's hope that questionable leans more to a yes as we get closer to Friday. And whatever he's got to get dude back on the field. Because he's been undoubtedly one of the security blankets for Trevor Harris in an offense that hasn't necessarily been producing like it did earlier in the year. And it seems like whenever you can get the ball to Myers, something could happen on any play. As we saw in Ottawa, 82 yards with Yak. We need those plays going forward. Time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk Blue Jay baseball. We'll talk Major League Baseball playoffs. Arash Madani will join us. We'll go coast to coast. We'll do that next. This is the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM.
Listen weekdays at noon for Saskatchewan Today on CKRM with your host, Ryan Young, offering the most extensive agricultural news coverage with precision weather meteorologists in an industry that moves fast. Stay updated with the latest, most reliable information in ag news, crisis and trends, all in one place. Available anytime at SaskAgToday.com. Saskatchewan Today, your trusted source for all things agriculture. Sponsored by Affinity Credit Union on 620 CKRM.
Proven by countless farmers, 900 Series fence sprayers set the standard for your crops, and it's available at Nick's Service in Emerald Park. Featuring 370 horsepower, 132-foot boom, 1,580-gallon tank, smart drive 4-wheel steering, and Liquid Logic recirculating boom, the 900 Series fence sprayers are backed by a 3-year, 2,000-hour Gold Star warranty. Leaders drive Fendt. To learn more about making your crops successful, visit Nick's Service today. nicksservice.com.
What's going on in the markets? When is the right time to invest? What should you do with your money today? When Linda had questions, she talked to Brian Golly.
He makes you feel very at ease. He's always up for a visit with us, and yeah, we're always happy to see him and get some advice from him.
You don't have to plan your financial future alone. Call Brian Golly of Smart Investing Solutions, 306-546-2533.
We would recommend Brian anytime, and we would recommend him to anybody.
If you've got a Steelcraft garage door, you've got a door with parts manufactured and assembled right here in Canada. A door with better insulation and seal, plus a warranty you're probably never going to use. Combined with a LiftMaster opener, it's the right choice. And if you don't have a Steelcraft garage door, you should get one. And a LiftMaster opener. 100% made by Canadians for Canadians. Steady, tariff-free pricing and great quality, no matter what.
Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door. We offer more.
It's time to go coast to coast with Arash Madani for Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Golly at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533.
Hey, Arash, so last night it's 6-1, and I'm like, well, this game's over. It's the third inning. I had a lot of laundry to do. You know, I'm a busy dad, 3 kids, you know, a household to run. Next thing you know, I come back and things, and I'm fluffing and folding, and it's 6-6. What? And the Toronto Blue Jays and then they end up going on to lose.
How long does it take you to do laundry?
Arash, do you have 3 kids that like to change outfits multiple times a day?
I don't. Wow, that took a while because it took 2 hours to play 4 innings. Like, it was the longest game. It felt like a throwback Yankee Red Sox game from, you know, the Big Papi era.
I instantly noticed, and I'm not a baseball analyst. I don't pretend. I'm a casual fan. Now, Shane Bieber was doing okay. Pitch count was getting up there, but they take him out in the third inning, and I'm like, oh, no, because then when you saw what happened after that, if you're John Schneider and you could go back, would you have left him in the game past the point of where they took him out yesterday?
No. This game was not lost because of pitching. This game was not lost because of pitching decisions. This game was lost, Maz, because the Toronto Blue Jays forgot how to play defense. Because Isaiah Kiner-Falefa wasn't able to, you know, handle a ground ball. Because Addison Barger, on a very basic pop fly, dropped it. Because Anthony Santander may have taken as bad an angle in right field to a ball as possible. Like, this is a franchise that preaches pitching and defense, and what do they end up doing? Just vomiting all over their shoes. Like, that's what that was. Like, their defense was an absolute mess last night. We're not having this conversation about even playing a game 4, if not for that.
I don't care if you don't like the New York Yankees. You have to applaud everything Aaron Judge has tried to do to will this team to win. Because at this point, I don't know what else. Judge is earning his money. He's earning his superstar money. That guy, he lights out.
Yeah, Maz, and I'll even correct you a little bit. I think it's not superstar. I think it's megastar. Like, Louis Varland threw an incredible 100-mile-an-hour pitch, high and inside, that nobody would have hit, let alone turn on and launch into the sky for a 3-run homer off the foul pole. Afterwards, Paul Goldschmidt, who's known as one of the best hitters in the game, said maybe it was even better than a perfect swing. I think what's so cool about what we're kind of watching here is that it's Judge versus Vlad. Like, anything you can do, I can do better. They're going at it toe-to-toe, almost mano-a-mano, megastar versus megastar. And who knows how tonight's going to work out and how the series will go. But if the Yankees somehow come from behind to win this thing, that swing, what Judge did on that pitch, will absolutely be the moment this entire series turned.
Playing incredible. Probably one of the things, Arash, that I saw, and this would go back to minor sports, as kids, what you're taught. It's 6-1, and they show the dugout, and he's leaning over the rail, and he's clapping, and he's cheering guys on. Like, I gave up for them. He didn't. You do, because sometimes you don't see that. You see guys that make millions, they pout, things aren't going their way. They're already planning their trip to Cabo or to Cancun or wherever they're going. But not him. He was in there, and I'm like, that really is the sign of a good, well-rounded athlete. And I'm like, so they come back, and then they win. Is the losing streak 7 games now on the road for the Blue Jays in the playoffs after last night? Is that why we should be a little worried tonight?
Nah, that has nothing to do with anything.
Okay.
Look, the Blue Jays need to play a clean baseball game. You know, my concern is, I shouldn't say concern. If you're a Blue Jay fan, your concern is, can the offense keep doing what it's done the first 3 games of this series? I don't believe in, like, road losing streaks in the postseason go back, 5 years now, where most of those guys aren't even on the roster right now. The question is, can this team continue to rake? Can this team play good defense? And it's a bullpen game more than anything else. You're now asking Varland to open it, and then you're asking Eric Lauer, who, Maz, in a lot of ways, in May, June, and July, when a lot of that starting rotation was scuffling, he kind of kept the whole team afloat. Can Lauer go 4 innings for you? 2 weeks ago against the Red Sox, he went 3 1/3 scoreless, didn't give up a hit. They need Lauer in relief to effectively be their starting pitcher tonight. So I think these are the real questions that we kind of think about going into Game 4 tonight.
You've got Schlittler on the mound for the Yankees, and they're not in a bullpen situation like the Jays where, if they have to use 5 or 6 pitchers to win a game, that's fine. He looked incredible against the Sox. Now, the Blue Jays lineup, the Blue Jays lineup is different. You're going to see some things. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to come up 3 to 4 times. But I'm glad that Schlittler's getting a chance to pitch because, as I think I mentioned on Monday, if they wouldn't have extended the series this far, because to me, he's one of their best hopes as far as starting pitching goes that can get them deep into a game to give them a chance to win, because who else on that Yankee roster? Like you saw it last night with Rodon. Like in first inning, you can get roughed up, and then all of a sudden the game can get away from you so quickly.
And here's the thing about Schlittler, which is the same situation with Travich. There's not a lot of film out there on them. There's not a lot of video out on them. There's not a lot of scouting reports out on them. There's not a lot of advanced work that's been done on them because they're pretty new unicorns who have fallen from the sky for both of these teams. So when you watch Savage the other day on Sunday, Maz, you saw Yankee hitters immediately going to the iPad to be like, okay, what can we find here? The same can be said for the New York starter tonight. So that to me is a real piece of intrigue here. Even with Varland yesterday, Judge went to Stanton before the home run and said, what'd you see? Because he'd only faced him once before, and that was a couple of years ago when Varland was with the Minnesota Twins. So there's a lot of, baseball is about preparation and, scouting reports and game plans and all those things. But when there's very little information, very little data, you're just rolling with it on the fly, and that's what you're going to get from the Yankees pitcher today.
I want to ask you, so last night, I can't remember the Jay that they said he got hit by a pitch and he took a base, but then replays showed, did he? Because it didn't look like it. Where did you stand on that? Was he hit? Because to me, it didn't look like the ball touched him at all.
Yeah, it was Andres Jimenez. It was pretty early in the game, and it's almost like football. They said the ruling on the field stands, not that it was confirmed. So there was just no indisputable visual evidence that showed that the ball didn't hit him. It's weird. Usually when the ball hits somebody in the hand, in the forearm, on the glove, elbow pad, whatever, the trajectory of the ball will change. It didn't in that. So it didn't in that scenario. So they're like, well, there's nothing here that showed it probably didn't hit him, but we have to go with the ruling on the field, whatever the ruling on the field was.
We saw earlier today the Detroit Tigers come back and beat the Seattle Mariners 9-3. Seattle was cruising. They were up 3-0. Life was good. And then Detroit came alive. Do we forget sometimes that Detroit can be explosive as well and put up some runs? That they, everybody else, to be like, all right, we just opened the door a crack. Now we'll just kick it in.
It's hard to, because the Tigers blew whatever that lead was, 12 games, 15 games in the Central. You forget what their offense is capable of. You remember that Miggy Cabrera isn't walking through that door. But Maz, let me throw this one at you. If the Tigers somehow win this series, and now they have a chance,
yes,
and the Blue Jays win another game, for the first time ever, Toronto versus Detroit in a playoff series. And it's going to be for a chance at the World Series. Now, if you're from these parts in southwestern Ontario, there is, like if you're in the Windsor, Sarnia, etc. area, it is split down the middle. It may even be more pro-Tigers than it is pro-Jays. It's the closest big league franchise to Toronto from a geographic standpoint. It will be very, very fun if that's the case. The Tigers have real pitching, and they reminded us today that their bats can do some damage too.
Cubs are beating the Brewers at the moment. 4-1, fourth inning. Milwaukee leads that series 2-0. Think the Cubs have what it takes to win 3 in a row?
No, they don't have. They don't have the pitching to do it. 2016 isn't walking through that door,
The Phillies are in LA tonight to take on the Dodgers. They're down 2-0. Surprisingly, how they've made some of these games close, I just would assume that the Dodgers could win a 5-game series in 2 games. Do the Philadelphia Phillies have what it takes to come back and win 3 against Ohtani and the Dodgers? I think no.
Yeah, I think you just answered your own question. When you're asking the question, it's man. I mean, look, the Dodgers outspend you, they outpitch you, they outhit you, they out everything you. And they're the toughest out in baseball. They're an October regular. They're the perennial division champions. They're the perennial NL champions, and they continue to show you why.
Teoscar Hernandez, who is an LA Dodger, was one time a Toronto Blue Jay. Ooh. Could you imagine if he was still part of this Blue Jays roster? When you see the damage that he does for the Dodgers, just doing what he does, just so good. Just such
so good.
He could,
and he wanted
so good.
He wanted to stay, and he wanted to come back, and it just didn't work out.
Well, I think him and his agent did okay landing in LA with the Dodgers.
Yeah, but you think about why Teoscar isn't a Blue Jay anymore. They blow an 8-1 lead in the 2022 postseason, and I thought the front office panicked. Trading him for a marginal reliever who's not even around anymore. But Teoscar gives him pop. Now, look, Santander was supposed to be that guy this year. He's been hurt for most of the season. And he finally showed a little bit of a flicker on the offensive side. But Teo's a different beast, and now he's got himself a championship, and he's hungry for another one. I'll tell you a great Teoscar story, Maz, about the makeup of this guy. So we're in Pittsburgh, Friday of Labor Day weekend, 2022, and he's limping around the cage. And I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with this guy? He just came back off the injured list. So that was Friday evening. Sunday morning, I'm in the locker room before the game, and Teoscar is really limping. And I look down, he's got flip-flops on, but around his right foot, his foot is completely wrapped in ice and tape and whatever. And I go up to him and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And he said, well, my foot and my ankle are in really bad shape. And they said I need 8 weeks of recovery time. And he said, we don't have 8 weeks, right? It's the first week of September. So he said, I'm just going to play on it until it breaks. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm just going to play on it until it breaks because the team needs me and I want to win. That's the makeup and DNA of the competitor Teoscar Hernandez is.
Real quick, we'll wrap on this. NHL regular season started last night. Have you had to make any bold predictions of who you think is going to be in the Stanley Cup final this year and who wins the Cup this year? If you have, can you please repeat them? Because I would love to know. I
haven't. I will say I thought the NHL dropped the ball last night. I get that you have to put the defending champs on, but I would have made Toronto versus Vegas part of opening night. I would have had Mitch Marner versus the Maple Leafs as part of opening night, and I think that's something the NFL would absolutely do. I thought the NHL should have done that last night.
I mentioned earlier in the show that tonight is the debut of Vegas Mitch, and I think I'm going to like Vegas Mitch. Leafs fans may hate Vegas Mitch if he blossoms into what we think he's going to, but you know why? Because
I think Leaf fans are good riddance on anything, Mitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vegas Mitch could be a lot of fun, and the reason why is Saskatchewan's Kelly McCrimmon steering that ship. And I think when you're around Kelly, there's one way to do things. And Vegas Mitch probably met Kelly, and Vegas Mitch probably said, "Okay, sir, I'm good," and walked out of his office and went back to his locker and be like, "Oh man, this is going to be different." But we wish Vegas Mitch all the best tonight. And the Connor McDavid countdown clock is now ticking. Set it for 3 years because his contract is very palatable in 2 years or in that third year to be traded away because any team can take it at 12.5, not at 20. Arash, it looks like you're in an Uber or a ride share of some point. I don't know where you're going. Kudos to your driver. It looks like they're maneuvering the streets of
going to watch
Toronto.
the ball game, Maz. So going to watch the ball game.
Nice. Don't forget, tip your server. Have a great night. This is Coast to Coast with Wrath from Danny. Brian Golly, Investing Solutions on the Sportscage. Arash will be back with Barney tomorrow in his regular time slot. Yeah. Interesting. Jays fans just about 30 minutes away from first pitch in New York City. If it's a low-scoring game, the Jays proved all year, it's some crazy stat. If they're held to under 4 runs, their record's not great. They need 5 or more, and then it's Jays baseball. They were like 58 and 20-something. But the Yankees can also score. And if one of them decides to play defense, I think the other one's in trouble. I don't know which way this game's going. We'll get you some odds. Maybe we'll do a little sprinkle. Time to take a break. When we come back, Michael Hughes is the newest Saskatchewan Roughrider. He's the kicker from Appalachian State that they brought in. And Dave Thomas had a chance to catch up with him after practice today. We'll meet him next. This is the Sportscage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
October is Customer Appreciation Month at Extreme Hockey and Umbrella Marketing. It's pretty easy. Just submit your receipt for your corporate or team apparel order, and you could be one of the lucky winners at month end to receive up to $1,000 back towards your purchase. Locally owned, community-oriented, and customer-focused. And of course, don't forget about their price match guarantee. Extreme Hockey and Sport, Umbrella Marketing, 1425 McIntyre Street, and conveniently located in the Cooperator Center.
So, since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know. That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50-50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 5050 is presented by ISC.
Get it hot, get it fast, Western Pizza.
Ugh, what do I want for supper? There's a bag of baby carrots, a slice of cheese that looks haunted.
Step away from the sad cheese, Dave.
What, the fridge? Since when do you talk?
Since you've been standing here for 10 minutes whispering pizza or cereal like it's a hostage negotiation. I'll make this simple. Order Western Pizza. You are welcome.
Get it hot, get it fast, Western Pizza.
The Sportscage Clutch Performer for Nick's Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. Call 781-1077.
I'm going to go with Avery Lowe of the Humboldt Broncos last night. Scored what turned out to be the eventual game winner, as the Broncos ended up beating the Flin Flon Bombers, handing them their first loss on the season. Final score, 5-3. Avery Lowe, Humboldt Broncos, my clutch performer for Nick's Service today. Colson, what do you got?
So I'm giving mine to the women's touch football Florida Gators. That's my mom's touch football team, and they got their 4th consecutive city championship last night. I think the score was a whopping 8-0, but hey, it doesn't have to be pretty. You take it.
Your mom plays touch football?
She has for a good number of years now. Like literally all growing up, I remember every so often we'd go to a game, watch a game, because it was easier for Dad to take us to the game than manage us in the house. To be fair, but yeah.
So your mom's athletic, your dad was a firefighter, and Colson, it's not making sense here. I'm looking at you. You're
sitting behind a computer screen. Yeah.
Sitting behind a computer screen, very studious. You've got this and this, and
yeah, I am
Big Bang Theory on screen with us here.
I am the outlier in that aspect. I like to say my family as a whole is pretty tech savvy and pretty smart, but I'm definitely the one who didn't dive into athletics as hard as everybody else. I'm the oldest, and my next brother always complained. He's like, I needed an older brother to compete against, and you just never did that. So that was really frustrating.
Nice.
So,
isn't that great when you get a little older and your siblings tell you your flaws or what a disappointment you were in what area earlier in life? I have 3 older siblings, and so I've heard it from multiple people on a wide variety of topics of why I don't light up their scoreboard. Thanks for that. Happy Thanksgiving, I guess. Pass the potatoes. Oh!
And part of it too is I'm still the tallest. I can still jump the highest, and over a short distance, I could still run the fastest for the longest time. Yeah. So I was like, I got the edge in a few areas. So I didn't have the incentive to keep trying harder like they did. But they've definitely passed me overall in athletics in every other department.
I'm guessing if Mom invites the rest of her flag football team over, touch football team, over, for a year-end wind-up at your house, and they say, Colson, let's go in the front yard, grab the football. All my money's, the sprinkle of the day for Sports Select is on them. It's not on you. I don't care if you're the tallest and you can run the fastest and jump the highest. You're not coming out with that football. I'm sorry, but it's probably not going to happen.
I can do all right out there, but I am not in the starting lineup on my family's sports teams usually. Unless you're talking football where you need a lot of players, and then it's like, okay, Colson, I guess we'll throw you out at safety or something.
Where you can hide.
Yeah.
All right, that's your clutch performers for Nick's Service. The Saskatchewan Roughriders getting ready to take on the Toronto Argonauts on Friday night at Mosaic Stadium. It's going to be a 7 o'clock kickoff. The big news is the Riders brought in an American kicker yesterday. His name is Michael Hughes, and Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, had a chance to catch up with him after practice today.
With kicker Michael Hughes wearing the green and white of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, has that sunk in yet?
Absolutely. I've been here for 2 days, and I've loved every bit of it. Everybody's so welcoming. It's good to be in Canada.
So you look around at this huge field that is here, and does it seem a little overwhelming compared to what you've played on in the States?
No, absolutely not. It's about the same size as my college. So I've actually adjusted pretty well to that. App State prepared me extremely well for stadiums because our fans at App State are incredible. And, being in the town of Regina now, being here and the culture, it's about the same. So I'm super excited to be here.
What about the dimensions of the field themselves? A little longer, a little wider?
Yeah, that's a little different. Still adjusting to the 65-yard sidelines, but still ball, and I'm going to enjoy every single moment of it.
What did you know about Saskatchewan, the Roughriders, and the Canadian Football League before you landed in Regina?
Not a lot. but I did do some research before I came, just so I wasn't a complete fool running around. But like I said earlier, everybody's been super welcoming and answered a lot of questions that I've had, and it's been great so far.
You look back at your career at App State, you got some big numbers there. How do you translate that into a professional game?
Well, it's just like my strength coach at App State tells me all the time, I'm only as good as my next kick. So I can't worry about what I just did or my past reputation or my career in the past. I can only focus on where my feet are right now. So I just try to take it one kick at a time and do the best that I can for the team now and try to go 1-0 this week.
Have you talked about that with whether it be the coaching staff or the management, or how you might fit in as you arrive here in Regina? Again, there's already a couple of kickers on the roster.
No, I haven't had that discussion. I mean, I've tried to focus on being where my feet are, getting to know my teammates, learning names, getting adjusted to our new special teams operation. So, that's something that I take pride in.
How do you do that adjustment? Because you've got a new holder all of a sudden you're going to be working with, a new long snapper. How do you start to familiarize yourself with that?
Reps and trust. I've known Jesse for a little over a year now. We met last summer. So, I've known him for some time. I consider him a good friend of mine. So trusting him off the field allows me to trust him a lot on the field as well. Getting to know Jorgen really well. So, trying to get with those guys as much as possible, build a relationship quickly, and, trust them when my time comes.
How much say do you have when it comes to that hold of that football? You talked about working with Jesse or knowing Jesse before. Yeah. How many minute adjustments do you need to make? Or are they big adjustments just to make the ball easier to kick?
I have a good relationship with him, and I do make adjustments. And we've talked about it over the last 48 hours a lot. How I like the ball in certain places, and how I want it in certain situations. And Jesse's been great. He's a great holder, great athlete, great punter. So being able to piggyback off of his experience and holding in big time games at Ohio State and Vanderbilt, and also being up here for the entire for the last few weeks of the season, it's been good to piggyback off of his experience.
How do you emotionally feel about this opportunity? Is this an opportunity for you to launch a pro career?
Yeah, I feel very, very grateful and blessed to be here. I had a few workouts back home in the States, but now that I'm here, I can really put some film on tape and do my job, and like I said, try to go 1-0 for this team this week.
So how does that work? You're back at home. Do you go to the schoolyard and kick every day? Do you get to go inside the college stadium? How do you do this?
Yeah, I've been picking up fields when I can. Kicking a lot at my high school, and also trying to kick on college uprights because they're obviously tighter. But I try to hang a T-shirt over the pole or something to mimic some tighter posts. So, it's been good back home to kick and work out and stay ready to go for moments like this.
Can you work with a coach? You mentioned your strength coach that you've been talking to. Do you continue to work with those coaches?
I have a personal coach back home in West Virginia. His name's Matt Downey. He's been great with me over the last 2 or 3 months, just staying ready and keeping my body in good shape. And then I've seen multiple kicking coaches over the last few months, critiquing and getting better every single day. So it's been great to be around those guys.
How old were you when you started kicking, and what drew you to the position?
I was 13, and my middle school coach, he was a family friend of ours, came up to my dad, asked if I wanted to come up and try it, and I played soccer growing up, so I decided to do it and fell in love with it.
What would getting a roster spot and an opportunity to play in a Canadian Football League game mean to you?
Everything. It would mean everything. I've been doing this for 10 years, and all that hard work built up, it'd be super special for me, my family back home, and my faith in God, and being able to just stay patient. So,
Michael Hughes, newest Saskatchewan Roughrider. Colson, here's my question. Since we know you're an athlete, as we figured out at the start of the segment, if you're an American kicker and you're coming up here and you've never kicked off a tee before, like CFL kickers do you think if he does play on Friday, is he using the black tee, or is he just kicking off the turf like he has done since, he said 13 years old, where they just kick off the turf or the grass?
That's a good question. If I was an athlete in that position, I would do what I had always been doing, right?
Yeah, because I don't know, because of angle and trajectory, if you're used to having that ball at a certain height, your foot striking that ball at a certain place, because you add that tee, and what would that be? Maybe 3/4 of an inch, maybe, inch and a quarter. Mm-hmm. That could totally throw things off. And if you've been kicking like that he started when he's 13, let's say he's 24, 25, the past 12, 13 years. And then 48 hours ago, you come in to a brand new situation in a brand new league, and you're trying to earn a job and keep a job. What would you do? That's my biggest question. Is would he use a tee? Because we've seen it before, guys in the CFL, depending on where they came from. Most of them use tees, but some of them don't. But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find out how old he is real quick here.
Well, if he just graduated from Appalachian State, maybe 22, 23, 24. So the bulk of his kicking would have been done without a tee. So
yeah,
if he makes the roster on Friday, it'll be interesting to see what he does when he gets trotted out on the field.
Yeah, and who knows? He'll probably give it a try, and if it feels better, he might stick with it too, right? I'm not saying that's going to be the case. I'm just saying, give something a try, and you're like, oh, this actually feels a little cleaner, a little nicer. Maybe he'll go this route, or goes 0 for 5 in practice. It's like, no, we're just going to stick to the turf. Thank you. Right? Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
We're going to take a break here. Coming up in hour number 3 of the show, Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, will join us. Maybe Dave knows. Maybe he's already asked that question. Maybe Dave already knows what's happening. When the depth chart comes out on Friday, Michael Hughes, place kicker, could be part of the Rider Nation team that rolls out on the field Friday night at Mosaic to take on the Argos. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Sports Ticker next. This is the Sportscage on 620 CKRM.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
Freeze Tallman wants you to get her done before the winter. They can save you time and hassle by delivering your building materials directly to your home or cottage. They have siding, roofing, brown-treated lumber, composite decking, aluminum railing, fencing, everything you need to finish your outdoor building projects before snow falls. Visit freezetallman.com or see them in Regina or Fort Capel. Freeze Tallman. Let's get you building.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50-50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 5050 is presented by ISC.
If you've got a Steelcraft garage door, you've got a door with parts manufactured and assembled right here in Canada. A door with better insulation and seal, plus a warranty you're probably never going to use. And if you don't have a Steelcraft garage door, you should get one. Don't just hang a door, install a Steelcraft. Turn curb appeal into curb envy.
Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door. We offer more.
Steel-craft.ca.
Country Corner, brought to you by Municipal Hail Insurance. Proudly serving farmers. MunicipalHail.ca.
Check out the Cream of the Crop Trade and Craft Show this Friday and Saturday at the Connexus Art Center. Over 60 local vendors ranging from artwork, handcrafted jewelry, and home decor. Full details at connexusartcenter.ca. Don't miss your chance to see Darius Rucker live at the Brand Center on Monday, October 20th, playing all the hits from All Right to Wagon Wheel. Great seats are still available at ticketmaster.ca. And get ready to party with the James Barker Band in Moose Jaw. The Bud Light Buckle Up Tour comes to the Temple Garden Center on November 20th. Grab your tickets at templegardencenter.ca.
For more information, visit 620ckrm.com. It's time for the Sports Ticker. It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sports, Regina's locally owned one-stop hockey shop. Now with a price match guarantee. 1425 McIntyre Street.
Major League Baseball Division Series earlier today. The Detroit Tigers have now tied their best of 5 with Seattle at 2 after beating the Mariners 9-3 in Detroit at Comerica Park. Game 5 for all the marbles. And as Arash said, if the Tigers make it through and the Jays make it through, it'll be the Southern Ontario, Northern Michigan Super Series. Fans apparently there have been waiting years for. In the 5th inning, you've got the Chicago Cubs leading the Milwaukee Brewers 4-2. Milwaukee leads that best of 5, 2-0. In about 15 minutes' time, first pitch at Yankee Stadium. Yanks. Jays leading the series 2-1. You're nervous and you're a Jays fan, you have a right to be. What Jays team is going to show up, you don't know. And as Arash said earlier in the hour, tonight it's pitching by committee. It's going to be anybody and everybody. You got a uniform and a glove, you could be throwing a third of an inning for the Jays if needed to try and get a win. Or does Aaron Judge continue on his tear and will the Yankees to another win to tie this series, forcing a Game 5? Wow. Later on tonight, you've got the Phillies in LA to take on the Dodgers. Dodgers lead the best of 5, 2-0. Dodgers could wrap things up with a win. Western Hockey League tonight. The Vancouver Giants are in Prince Albert for their one and only visit of the season. They'll take on the Raiders, face off at 7. Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. After losing their first game of the season last night in Humboldt, the Flin Flon Bombers are in Melville to take on the Millionaires. Prairie Junior Hockey League. The Saskatoon Royals are in Martinsville to play the Chiefs. Midget AAA. The Mintos and Battlefords take on the Stars. The Regina Pats Canadians and their stacked lineup. When you've got a Hugh in there and a Schultz taking on the Notre Dame Hounds in Wilcox at 7:30. National Hockey League tonight, the Montreal Canadiens in Toronto to take on the Leafs. The Flames will be in Edmonton to take on the Oilers. That's going to be an 8 o'clock face-off. And Colson, there's NFL news. Joe Flacco's been traded from the Cleveland Browns. And he's on his way to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Dylan Gabriel's now the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I think he's the 23rd or 24th starting quarterback going back not that many years. But if you remember, it was in the summer, Darian Durant said he thought Shedeur Sanders would be starting by about week 4 of the NFL season. Well, it's going to week 6, but Sanders is now one play away from being the guy in Cleveland. Darian knows quarterbacks. Tomorrow night in the NFL, Week 6 is going to kick off. Philadelphia's in New York to take on the Giants. I like Jackson Dart, and I like the story. I just think that they're overmatched against the Eagles. Don't think Jalen, after losing to Denver the way they did, I don't think the Eagles are going to come out and not be ready to play against the Giants. Giants just don't have enough on defense. They just don't. Looking ahead to the rest of Week 6, another European game. Just don't dig these. Denver is in Tottenham to take on the Jets. The Jets are in a world of trouble. They could be 0-6. Denver all day long. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Oof. Chargers at Miami. Chargers need to win this game. If the Chargers are going to be for real like their fans think they are, they got to go into Miami and win. Miami, if anything, is iffy at best. San Francisco at Tampa Bay. Now, I like Baker Mayfield. Love what Baker does. If Tampa can beat the Niners, it's a good club, and they're going to run their record to what? 5-1? Good. 5-1 is a lot better than 4-2. Seattle at Jacksonville. We're all Jags fans now, right? Especially if you don't like Kansas City after Monday Night Football. Yes, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter. The only two people you can name on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter. Colson, we'll give away $1,000 of Colson's money if you can name 2 other people that play for Jacksonville.
I don't think I have that, but we do have Pick the Score tickets. So if you pick the score, we'll give you tickets to this Friday's game. Lights Out, Obsidian.
Yeah. And $1,000 of Colson's money.
No, that's
Rams
not in the
at
prize
Baltimore
pack.
to play the Ravens. We'll work on it. We'll chat. Arizona at Indianapolis. Oof, Arizona. Late games, Tennessee at Vegas. Colson, even on our worst day, if you and I weren't getting along, I wouldn't make you watch the Tennessee Titans play the Las Vegas Raiders. That's cruel and unusual punishment. You can take me to HR. I don't care. I would not make you. That is those are two bad football teams.
Mm-hmm. That's why they get hidden on the schedule like that, especially later in the year.
Cincinnati at Green Bay. Joe Flacco, your starting quarterback. New England and New Orleans. Now, New England, you beat the Buffalo Bills. Do not go to New Orleans and lose that football game and prove that you are the New England Patriots of the past 5, 6, 7 years of the New England Patriots not being consistent. And then they've got the doubleheader. At Sunday Night Football, you got Detroit at Kansas City. And then Monday night's a doubleheader. Bears at Washington. Bears are palatable. And then Buffalo at Atlanta. Buffalo, you got to bounce back and win. And you got to beat the Falcons.
Yeah. I saw a picture of the first-year coaches in the NFL. Only Jacksonville's only Jacksonville's been doing good. All the others are like 2-2, 1-4.
Yeah, well, and his name is Liam Cohen. Yeah. And like with anybody that takes that Jacksonville job, you're probably just excited to be a head coach in the NFL. Yes, it's coming in Jacksonville. You're going to make the best of it. Has anybody had success there? No. But whatever. You're going to get paid head coach money and you get a chance to be in charge. It's good for the resume. Liam Cohen at the moment seems to be making the best of his opportunity. What are they, 4-1?
Yeah.
And looking good.
4-1.
Good. If they beat Seattle, well, they're at home, and if they beat Seattle, that's great. Like Colson said, we are playing Pick the Score. Who wins on Friday between the Riders and the Argos? Text us your first name, your last name, and your prediction to 306-936-6262. You can win tickets to an upcoming game. There aren't many left, and a chance at a $200 SaskTel gift card. And just like that. Everybody thinks that they're a genius when it comes to picking winners in sports. Show us your big brain.
Mm-hmm. I found the list. So Liam Cohen, 4-1.
Yep.
Brian, I'm not going to get his last name right. Coach in Dallas.
Schottenheimer.
2-1. 2-1. Ben Johnson in Chicago, 2-2. Kellen Moore.
Not Ben Johnson, the steroid guy that won a medal for Canada that had to give it back. No. Different Ben Johnson.
Different one. Kellen Moore, the Saints, 1-4. Yep. And then Aaron Glenn, 0-5 with the Jets.
Soon to be 0-6 after his British experience this weekend. All right, time to take a break. Coming up in hour number 3 of the show, we'll kick things off. Voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Thomas, will join us. It's day 3 of practice today. We'll get the latest on what's going on in Riderville with Dave. This is the Sportscage on 620 CKRM.
We are the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM Regina, a Harvard media station.
CKRM.
It's 5 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Corey Atkinson from the SaskToday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM news for Echo Sound in Fort Qu'Appelle. Stay connected with the new cell phone from Echo Sound. Call 306-332-6711. A new Rentals.ca report shows rent prices in Saskatchewan fell slightly this year, down 0.3% to an average of $1,374. Nationally, average rents declined 3.2% to $2,123, with drops in most provinces except Manitoba. Urban Nation's Sean Hildebrand said renters are seeing more affordability as rental supply grows. The province says Saskatchewan remains Canada's most affordable place to live, with Regina, Saskatoon, and Lloydminster all near the bottom of rent rankings. Moose Jaw's downtown homeless shelter, Willow Lodge, will be moved to another location. Premier Scott Moe said the decision came after hearing concerns from downtown business owners. Mayor James Murdoch confirmed the Ministry of Social Services has asked the city to suggest possible new sites. Moose Jaw North MLA and Public Safety Minister Tim McLeod said the government has heard residents' concerns and will work with the city to ensure services continue. Downtown Association Chair Alex Carlton said businesses want to balance compassion for the homeless with keeping Moose Jaw's downtown safe and welcoming for visitors. The City of Regina may ask the province for help for residents whose homes were damaged by mid-September flooding. City administration is recommending council apply to the Provincial Disaster Assistance Program. If approved, residents could receive funding for uninsurable losses from the September 13th storm, which dropped about 50 millimeters of rain. Major roads like the Ross Street underpass flooded, and Service Regina logged 124 service calls for damaged homes. Alberta's premier says that Prime Minister Mark Carney is speaking Donald Trump's love language and believes a deal on tariffs is just around the corner. Speaking at a conference in Toronto, Premier Danielle Smith says she believes that Carney is using the correct approach with this president.
What I had told Prime Minister Carney when he came in is stop threatening to sell the U.S. less energy and let's promise to sell them more, because I think that's the pathway to a solution, and it seems like that seems to be the nature of the conversation. So I'm actually quite pleased.
She says it's important to cultivate a relationship with Trump rather than a more antagonistic elbows-up approach. And everyone is talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, and for the second day in a row, the Jays have an opportunity to eliminate the New York Yankees from the Major League Baseball postseason. Manager John Schneider says that everyone is available to play tonight's game. He says the coaching staff has put together a good plan of attack.
You try to put guys in the best possible spots. At the end of the day, they got to go out and make pitches. They got to go out and execute.
If the New York Yankees win tonight, the Blue Jays will host a decisive fifth game of the American League Division Series at Rogers Centre on Friday. That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
This back-to-school season, don't be prehistoric.
Mom, my phone is basically a fossil.
Sweetie, your phone's older than a T-Rex.
Time to evolve at Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer.
They have new phones, back-to-school deals, internet and Max TV stream, and no extinct data plans.
In 2025, there's no excuse to roam with a Jurassic phone. Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Capel. EchoSound.ca.
620 CKRM Precision Weather Forecast is brought to you by Croft Electric. 27 years of trusted, reliable home, farm, and commercial service for all your electrical needs. CroftElectric.com and on all socials. And it's for Line-X Regina, Serious Protection. Killer Looks at 1865 McCarra Street. Now, here's your Precision Weather Forecast.
High pressure building eastward from southern Alberta will dominate the pattern through tomorrow and even into Friday. An approaching warm front will move through with little fanfare Saturday morning, but another storm system developing to our south is expected to bring much cooler conditions with the risk of some showers for the second half of the weekend. On Sunday, in the short term, temperatures remain well above normal through the remainder of the week. Mainly clear overnight tonight, lows near 4 degrees, north and northwest winds at 10 to 20, chance of rainfall 0. Sunshine with a high of 16 tomorrow, northwest winds at 15 to 25, chance of precipitation 0. Clear skies tomorrow night, +1, northwest winds at 10 to 20, chance of rainfall 0. Sunny on Friday with a high of 17, east to southeast winds at 10 to 20. Sunshine Saturday with a high of 22, showers 11 degrees on Sunday. With your 620 CKRM Precision Weather Forecast, I'm meteorologist Russ Murley.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X, make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Croft Electric. You've probably heard of us because we've been around for over 27 years. We do commercial and residential work? Yes. We do permanent holiday lighting? Yes. We do cabins? Yes. And farms? Yes and yes. We're an authorized Generac generator dealer. We are a full-service electrical company with the experience and the people to service all of your electrical needs. We are Croft Electric. We will be here when you need us. Do it right, do it once. Follow us on all social and call 306-586-1333 to book.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Regina Motor Products early tire swap offer on now. Book before October 31st to save $10 on an on-rim and $20 on an off-rim tire changeover. Visit Regina Motor Products today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Just a couple minutes away from first pitch, Game 4, American League Division Series between the New York Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll keep an eye on that for you. This is the Sports Cage on a Wednesday afternoon. It's Maz in for Barney. Lots going on in the show today. We've chatted with Farhan Lalji from TSN. He shared some thoughts on the NFL and what he thinks about the CFL games this weekend and his most important game. Arash Madani joined us from Uber, Lyft, rideshare. Sounded like he was going to a bar to watch the game. Now, if you just heard Arash on the radio, that's one thing. But if you're watching the video stream, or if you're going to go back and watch the video stream on YouTube, you may get a little seasick watching Arash's Uber driver zip through the streets of Toronto. Because I was watching and I'm like, holy, I'm going to have to turn away. I don't know that whoever was driving the car Arash was in was upholding every traffic law in Ontario. Not a shot. Apple, Spotify, Amazon. If you want to go back and catch any part of the podcast, you can get the Cage on demand. All right, he's standing by on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Let's bring him in. It was a closed practice today for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And because of all the short weeks, we haven't had closed practices where basically the press just lurks and waits outside until things are done and the mystery is unveiled before they can go in and chat. Dave, what did you find out today after the doors were opened from the private session of Saskatchewan Roughrider football?
Okay, just a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to make a lot of friends or a lot of enemies in the next 20 minutes because we're not discussing the score in the Blue Jays game. You know how big of a fan I am, and it is on in the other room, and I'm not watching it until we are done. Number one.
Are you wearing a Blue Jays jersey?
Yes, Blue Jays jersey. Absolutely. Blue Jays jersey, Blue Jays update today.
Okay. What's the number, and do you have a name bar on the back of that jersey?
Yes, I do, and I'm not going to tell you.
Tell me it's a Dave Steeb. Tell me that this is so old school that it's a Dave Steeb jersey. That's a whole other generation of Blue Jays baseball.
It's a number 13 jersey. If you're smart enough to figure out which player it is, then good on you. So anyways, back to what we were talking about. Closed practice, as far as that goes for the Roughriders, even on short weeks, they'll hold closed practices. It's one of those sacred things. That's where they do the install. That's where they can go ahead and put in play XYZ. So closed practices, they are here to stay each and every week for the Roughriders. It just depends which day it will be when it comes to preparation on a 5-day prep week. For the Riders today, what we're trying to figure out and decipher is that this is an Obsidian game. So this gives media and fans that are at Mosaic Stadium a huge advantage because the Riders, if you're going to be playing this week, generally you're going to go ahead and you'll put on an Obsidian mask and helmet, right? So it's a dark black mask in front of your helmet as opposed to what is a traditional for the Riders, the white mask. So what did I learn from that? Well, not a heck of a lot. Devon Campbell, who has been ruled out, obviously was on the field, was doing something today, you'd have to think, because he was carrying a helmet around, but because it was one with a white bar on the front of it, we just don't know. The only kicker that is wearing the Obsidian helmet right now is Brett Lothar. Read into that as you will. That's all the information that I've got on that. The only punter that has got the Obsidian helmet right now was Jesse Mirko. So read into that as you will. As far as the defensive backs go, Nelson Lacombo, Jackson Ford did not have anything like that whatsoever. And we did see that with Sheldrick Redwine, who was wearing that. He, of course, was on the roster in Ottawa last week. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But that's kind of what you read and take away from camp. As far as the receivers go, I didn't see Dante Meyer's helmet. I just couldn't spot it. Of course, he's been battling with an ankle injury this week, so we're going to have to wait and see what he looks like when it comes walkthrough tomorrow or even game day. We did see Del Duncan Busby, though, taking his reps this week at his spot on the outside or the wide receiver spot for the Saskatchewan offense. So that's what I can tell you from what I'm trying to decipher and read between the lines in.
You mentioned Dante Myers and no helmet. And whenever you see him on the sideline or they interview him on TV, he's got great flow. Like, dude's got some great hair. Like, it pretended to be like he is. And it's funny. We discovered him in training camp last year, like Antoine Brooks Jr., just to see how far he's come and just how important he is to this Rider offense. Like that catch last week where he broke it for 82 yak yards or whatever, and just exploded down the field to be like, those are the kinds of plays the championship football teams have when you need them the most. And he seems to be that guy. Would you say he's a spark guy that when he does something, it's one of those then everything else seems to get going as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a tone setter, I would say. Him and Keyshawn Johnson. I guess that's why they're both over 1,000 yards this year. But that play in Ottawa, like I thought it was going to be stopped right away. I thought he was going to be sandwiched between two defenders. But if you played Madden football on PlayStation back in the day, and it still could be the same today, that me not knowing this would explain why my kids beat me all the time. But if you hit the R2 button, that was your speed burst. And it looked like he just hit that R2 button just after he caught the ball in stride, and boom, he was gone. He's that guy that can do that. And you're right. Spark is a great way to say that. And he really looked to have ignited something for the Roughriders when they desperately needed it, when they'd gone a little bit flat in that second half.
We won, and that's all that we should worry about, right? A win's a win's a win.
Mm-hmm.
They don't ask how, just how many, but we're Rider fans. Of course we ask how, and then we need to go 19 layers deep into that. At times the offense did good things. It just didn't seem consistent over the four quarters. At times the defense did good things. It just didn't seem to be, and then there was the kicking situation. Hey, happy 11-4. We got a touchdown, right? First drive. Was that a stat? I think I saw your stat. Is that the first touchdown in 5 games in the first play? What was that craziness? Because slow starts have been our thing.
Yeah, the only team that has scored fewer first quarter points this season than the Saskatchewan Roughriders are the Ottawa Redblacks. And if you go back over the past 5 games, the Riders had only scored a total of 5 points in first quarters in those 5 games. So that's the number, that's the stat. But I think what you have to look now is that, hey, they're finding ways to do it. And I had a great conversation with Thomas Bertrand-Houdon today, and he said, you know what, we face adversity in every single game that we win. We're not running away from anyone, so we're learning each and every game. And obviously that's one way to look at it. Cardiologists in the province may look at it a different way, but again, this team has shown that they can face adversity and they can overcome it, whether it's self-inflicted or opponent-inflicted, and I think that's the way that they move on. So park that one. They've got 11 wins. There are 8 other teams in the Canadian Football League that would love to say that there are 11 wins right now. They can't. And the Riders can go ahead and put a bow on it, if you will, with a 12th victory this weekend against Toronto, which would be substantial, I think, for a team that is banged up right now heading down the stretch. Then they can make appropriate rest versus the rust decision and debate that you've got to go ahead and factor in down the stretch.
I'd love to get your thoughts. I thought the Rider patchwork secondary that was put together with new faces in new places did okay. I mean, Ottawa's not the most explosive offense, but you still got, Hardy out there. You still got Gino Lewis out there making plays. I thought they played pretty well for not playing a lot together as a group.
Well, and you know what? That's a lot of credit to Coach Josh Bell. The Antoine Brooks Jr. touchdown, pick 6. Again, just showed it right before he made that play, and it's hard to detect on video no matter which angle you look at it. He had a conversation with DeMarcus Fields as they recognized the formation and understood the concept that was coming their way before the ball and the play was even thrown. And the two of them talked about it, and Antoine Brooks decided that, hey, I'm going to jump this thing, and he made a great decision. So Josh Bell has got the secondary communicating, learning, and growing together, and I think he deserves a lot of credit that maybe he doesn't get when you look at the number of passing yards the Riders give up. But you look at the banged up secondary that he's been working with, he's got to get player after player after player prepared to go in on that secondary. And again, with Roland Milligan Jr. going to be out this week for sure, Marcus Sales being a question mark, and I don't know how he's doing it playing on the leg that he is. So it'll be interesting because you got to know another roster shuffle is coming. But what about the game of CJ Rivas? Like, he was put in at the safety spot and he came to play, right? And I've said before that he's kind of the unsung hero of the defense. Now he's kind of showing his value and his worth because he talked to me before the game and he said, you know what? I can play both sides of the ball. I'm not limited to half the field. I can go ahead and understand and see what I read and then react to what I read. And I thought that was terrific.
You mentioned Roland Milligan Jr., and you mentioned before that cardiologist in Saskatchewan. Well, besides everybody's heart skipping a beat, and I think there was probably some foul language too, when he went down, we've all seen the replay a bunch of times. When you saw it live and then you saw the reaction, I was like, oh no. Because look what happened a couple years ago when he was not in the lineup for the Riders. Things were not good.
Well, and I'll be completely honest. This is the first time watching the stream right now as I am. It's the first time that I've actually been able to see the play. They didn't show the replay in stadium. Luke had a bird's eye view of it, and he talked about exactly what he saw with the foot plant and then the rollover on top of that. So, yeah, it didn't look good. It was discouraging. The one thing that Luke was pointing out to me was that, hey, look, he is kind of bouncing on the sideline. He's kind of trying to walk it off. I don't know what that means, especially when the adrenaline comes down for an athlete, but we'll have to wait and see. But again, he's been ruled out for now, and that's a huge blow, right? Of course, he was the most outstanding defensive player in this league last year.
You had a chance to talk to Michael Hughes, the newest Saskatchewan Roughrider, who's trying out as one of the kickers from Appalachian State. First of all, kudos and full marks. The way he said Regina, like it had rolled off the tongue a million times before. Dave, we've all heard this before. The guys come in here, they're getting interviewed or whatever, and then they throw out the Regina. And you're like, okay, all right, whatever. Seemed like a very well-composed young man, very intelligent, obviously did his homework, but he's in a brand new surrounding. And one of the questions I asked Colson, if he does play this week, is he kicking off the turf or off a tee? He's never kicked off a tee before. He's only kicked off turf.
Yeah, so what I learned today about Mr. Hughes was, number one, as I have always called it, is Appalachian State. It's Appalachian State. I did not know that. So I now know that, and I do now know, thanks to Coach Mace, that he actually performed and played in that Apps State University, as you want to call it. He likes calling it, is actually, it got the highest elevation of any university or college in American college football. So they play at the highest elevation, and I would have thought that it was in Denver or Colorado. The second, by the way, Wyoming. So there you go, fun fact. But what also I learned about him is that he looks like he is very, very motivated to get this shot, because that's what it is, right? It's a shot. Apparently the kickers today, it was a closed practice. We didn't get an opportunity to see it. Apparently they had kind of a kickoff at one point, so again, they had an opportunity to show what they can do. Now, he had been this week, or I guess yesterday, he had been kicking off the tee or preparing his approach towards the tee. And Jesse Mirko, of course, would be holding on a tee as well for him. So that's what I would suspect that it is going to look like if he gets an opportunity. The question is if he will. If you want to go back to the whole, is he wearing an obsidian helmet? No, he wasn't. So, again, it's going to be wait and see time for him because, of course, bringing an American kicker on means that you've got to make another move with finding a Canadian to start. Now, again, the Riders have got some options, especially if Dante Myers can't go, right? Then you go ahead and you have a starter in Del Duncan Busby. You bring Mitch Picton back onto the lineup, perhaps, again, just speculating, and then you can go ahead and dress the American kicker should you choose.
Yeah, and you know as well as anybody, a lot of these roster decisions also play in because special teams are such a big part of it, where like there's guys that got to play specials. And just because you're a Canadian receiver, if you don't play special teams, I don't know that week 18 is when you get thrown into playing special teams for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So there is a lot to go into that. Is there anybody that he reminds you of, or any kickers that we've seen in the past that you'd be like, oh, okay, he's kind of this guy, or he reminds me of that? Like, I think of, he seems like a bigger guy. Is he like a tall, lanky, like, is he a Sean Fleming-esque type? Is that who he would maybe remind you of?
Tall guy. He's just as tall as I am, so about 6'2", 6'3". He's, again, obviously he's athletic, which I am not. You can tell on the outside looking in. But, yeah, he's a tall guy. He's a very confident man, and again, just the way that he carries himself, it exudes some confidence. So that would be probably the best way to describe him.
To play professional football, for some people, it's a straight line from college to the pros. But like he said in his interview, he's still kicking at a high school near his house, trying to stay in shape and do his thing. And you know that those are the loneliest types of situations because you're doing it by yourself. Or you get your girlfriend or a buddy to come and shag the balls and bring them back and do that. You're doing it because you love the sport and you're just hoping and waiting for your chance. Did he say that he hangs a t-shirt off the goalpost or the crossbar or whatever for
Yeah, it's
Could you imagine?
It's incredible.
Like
incredible.
What else are you feeling after the close practice today when the Riders came out? You're feeling, like I said, we won. We're 11-4. Wrap up a home playoff day with a win. Things are good. These are problems we could have only dreamed about in the offseason, right? I mean, there's nothing, you know. Yes, it's not clicking as much or as easy as it did at the start of the year. But I also think, too, some of the teams, because there were so many new coaching staffs, they have gotten better. And there's a lot of film out on the Riders of what they do well, because what they do well is they're consistent at it. So, of course, you're good. And aren't you finding, Dave, if the Riders are the tops in the league, you're getting everybody's best effort?
Oh, I would suggest you do that anyways when you're playing the Saskatchewan Roughriders, right? You go into any stadium, even in Ottawa, and there was so much green and white in the stands. If that doesn't fuel your fire, I don't know what does, right? These guys are coming into our house, and so yeah, you're right. I think that they do get everyone's best. And what fascinates me, and maybe that's the wrong term because it may seem a little dramatic and over the top, is that this team seems to approach every week the same. And I know, right? That's the stock answer. We're approaching it. We're going 1-0. But that truly is remarkable to me, because if you were down at field level day one, day two, you wouldn't know whether the Riders had won the week before or if they had lost the week before. It was just refinement and focus that was on the field, right? Trying to make sure that you get that next play, that next opportunity to make the play, that you get it right. And Luke talked about it a little bit on the broadcast back on Friday in Ottawa, and mentioned the fact that, you know, you got to understand that, yeah, you're playing out this string, you're playing for jobs, la-di-da-di-da, but it's not just the athletes, it's the coaches too, right? And everyone knows what Trevor Harris is capable of, for example, right? And they're not going to just let him go ahead and sling those 7-yard passes all the time. They're going to do something to mix it up. That's what we saw in Edmonton with J.C. Sherritt, who probably did it best, right? Those 2 interceptions on the first possession that the Riders had at Commonwealth Stadium. The Elks mixed up their defensive look and went after that 7-yard pass that, again, had been there over and over and over again. And that's what we're starting to see teams tighten up and do, and trying to make Trevor uncomfortable, as well as the entire offense, and get out of what they do best. Now, the Riders have done a terrific job in making sure that they stick to the run game, which is really their bread and butter offensively. And as the run game goes, so will the pass game. But again, you have to give credit where credit is due. So getting back to your comment, yes, what I read this week is that the team is focused. They all know what's at stake. If you go ahead and you get this West Division wrapped up, you get that bye week in the first week of the playoffs, which is another week for this team to get healthy as they go down the straight. And of course, then they'll approach it as they do. But, you know, it's a unique opportunity for Rider Nation to be in the building to see your team clinch first place, which does not happen very often. And at no point, by the way, if you go back to 1970, and thanks to Rob Vanstone for sharing this, you go back to 1970, never have the Saskatchewan Roughriders had 11 wins through 15 games of a Canadian Football League season.
Wow, that's crazy to think. A team that's been around well over 100 years that never, ever until this year. And with the Argonauts coming to town, and Farhan Lalji said in the first hour of the show that Wynton McManus has been shut down for the season. He's not playing. Nick Arbuckle's been shut down for the rest of the season. Not. Now, what Toronto Argonaut team is going to show up? Because here with Toronto, Ryan Dinwiddie has somehow found a way, through injuries and a host of new players and everything they've gone through, although the record doesn't show it, to field a very, at times, competitive, sometimes dominant football club with bits and pieces. And at times, their defense has looked really good. And now you take Wynton McManus out, sure, but they've played a lot this year without him. So on Friday night, like you talked about, guys like Jason Shivers coming back, going to mix up that Trevor Harris thing and maybe throw some stuff out there. I'm thinking you're going to see a ton of that because they have nothing to play for. They have nothing to lose. There's no concept that's probably off the table that they're not going to try and throw out on Friday night, because there's no downside for them. There's no downside for the Argos.
When it comes to stats, right, you can bend them in your favor to make whatever kind of point that you want. The Toronto Argonauts are 5-11. We know that. They're going to miss the playoffs. Of those 11 losses, 9 have come within the final 3 minutes of games. So the Argos have hung around, and have made it difficult. Jared Dagey is going to start on Friday night. We know that. The question that I wonder for the rest of the season is, will we see Chad Kelly this year play a game of football? Because, again, to be off for an entire year, but why wouldn't you? He's been off for an entire year, right? Like, do you want to go into next year and see what happens after a year off? Or, again, I have no idea. I'm speculating at the severity of the injury. And obviously, if it keeps getting pushed back, that timeline, at some point, you have to be very concerned. I'm really curious if there will ever be a play for him to maybe make an appearance, even if it's for a half, right? You're evaluating for the years to come. So maybe, I don't know.
Mentioning quarterbacks, Tommy Stevens didn't practice. He's out. Now we know it's a knee. Is that something that happened in a game? Like, did we miss something somewhere? Or is that just something that just happened? Like, or how serious is it? Like, what do we know about Tommy Stevens and that knee injury?
Don't know the severity for sure. He has been walking around and you can see him at practice. He's not in pads. He's not in equipment. But the game, what was it, 2 games ago when the Riders, remember all of a sudden AJ Ouellette continued to run the short yardage, and that was in Edmonton, right? And so the reason we thought at the time was, okay, you're preserving clock by doing that. But obviously Tommy Stevens got nicked up at some point and AJ Ouellette went ahead and was given the reins. Okay, but get under center and away you go. So it's curious. What I really can't wait to see and hope happens, and again, this is such a selfish hope that it will never happen, but Jake Mayer, again, he comes in that short yardage package right now, and AJ Ouellette goes under center. Jake Mayer will flare out to the left or right, and AJ Ouellette has thrown Canadian Football League passes. I'd love to see him just throw one to Jake, because Jake's an athlete, a competitor, and I'd love to see what he would do. So selfish.
Every time I see Jake Mayer sneak out to the flank, 50% of him has to be going, okay, I'm glad it's not me under center when some linebacker comes diving headfirst across trying to crush me. I'll be out here in case the pass does come. AJ, you take this. I think Jake at times is a good decoy. Some of the other games this week, Calgary's at Hamilton. So in watching that BC Stampeder game last week, you're just watching Calgary and they just can't string anything together. And it was so easy for them early in the season. Now everything looks like a struggle, Dave. Everything. Just 2nd and 6 to get a first down and they're getting 5 yards. Like everything is a grind in Calgary.
I think we're learning now why it was so important to the Calgary Stampeders in the offseason to go and get Flo Aromalade. Of course, he's out for the year now, right, with that Achilles injury. But just the physicality, the presence that he brought along the defensive line, and the confidence that I think that he not only brought to the defense, but the offense as well, I think was on full display. And not having, and again, I don't know if it's a rah-rah thing or if it's more of a stabilizing, calming presence, but boy, did he mean a lot to that team. And right now, I think that the confidence of the Calgary Stampeders, I don't want to say it's shot entirely, but if something goes bad, you can see little recoil here and then away we go. But I'm not going to rule the Stampeders out. I know others have. But when you've got Dietrich Mills and the weather is getting colder, that's a pretty safe bet. And if he can continue to get solid offensive line play, now the play of the O-line has not deteriorated, but regressed a touch that is forcing Vernon Adams Jr. to make a lot more quick decisions. But even their decision last week to get Philpott involved, right? So Jalen Philpott running around from the backfield, so on and so forth. There's a lot of tools there, and I'm not going to write them off, but they do want to right the ship very quickly.
Matthew Betts seems unstoppable for the BC Lion defense. And early in the season, the BC Lion defense, everybody was laughing about how bad they were and everything. And Betts, as he washed up, they paid him too much money. It's an NFL hangover. No, he's a man on a mission, and you can't stop him.
You made the point just moments ago when you said that there's so many teams that have new coaches. Mike Benavides goes into BC. And again, in what was a curious move in leaving the previous defensive coordinator on staff, I thought that was a tough one, and I wonder what was going on, what the inner workings were behind the BC Lions. But again, Mike Benavides, I said it before, I'll say it again, he is not a dummy. He knows what he is doing, and once the defense not only understood his concept, but then started to believe that the concept would work, that's where the team turned the corner. And yeah, Nathan Rourke throwing for 1,000 yards a game or whatever it is, that doesn't help, doesn't hurt you at all.
Yeah.
The only downside is that the BC Lions offense scores so quickly that the defense is going to go right back out there. But like I say, the defense is much improved and perhaps one of the most improved defenses of the entire league, I would submit.
Yeah, you can remember in 2023 when the Alouettes started to take off and win and they started trending and they just kept going up and up. Well, this year you have them doing that, but you also have the Lions doing that as well. They seem to be hitting on all cylinders at the right time. Yeah, Calgary is in Hamilton. Calgary needs to win in Hamilton, or it's only going to get tougher. They may end up being the crossover. Winnipeg at Edmonton, and if it's the very stubborn hang around Elks, that could be one thing. If it is the precision Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Zach Collaros under center, this to me I think is my most intriguing game of the week because, Winnipeg takes that next step, or Edmonton comes that much closer to the pack.
Yeah, and with Edmonton, right? So obviously their backs have been up against the wall since Labor Day, so this is not anything new for them. But boy, there still are so many questions, and we heard the whispers when we were in Commonwealth Stadium a couple of weeks ago. What would have happened had there been an open competition at training camp for QB1?
Oof.
Where would this team be if Cody Fajardo was there? We'll never know that answer, but again, it's going to be interesting how that plays out. And for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, again, you're not the best until you beat the best, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been the best in the West for an awful long time. And just when you're ready to count them out or rule them way back in the pack, all of a sudden they find a way to put it together. And I think if there's one thing that, we talk a lot about Zach Collaros, whether it's positive or negative, but the one thing you can't deny is the leadership that he brings to that team because, okay, hand it to Brady Oliveira, you're going to be fine. Well, yeah, that's great. And Winnipeg was able to get a win with less than 10 passing attempts. That's great. But when Zach Collaros comes back, there's a new level of confidence and swagger that the Blue Bombers have, which is earned by them.
Tell.
And that to me is what's going to set them apart. And I think that if I was Winnipeg, I would want to avoid going east at all costs and try to get that West semifinal at home. And I think that that's the goal right now. Not saying that they wouldn't have wanted to finish first, which is obviously academic, but it can't happen now. And I think that that's the path that they want to take as they feel that'll be the most of least resistance. And we'll see if they can get it against Edmonton, like I say, who are still battling the what if we had mode.
Yeah, Ed Hervey hasn't come out and apologized for that yet. I don't think Ed ever will.
No, it wasn't. It was not Ed Hervey's doing.
According to Ed.
No, according to many that I've heard.
Oh. Well.
Trey Ford signed a deal to be the number one quarterback in Edmonton going into the season. And it was, hey, you know what? You don't have to compete. You are our number one guy in week number one. You will be under center. That was what was told to him, whether it was verbally, whether it was just in the contract dollars that he was after, or maybe it was a little bit of combination A and B. And that was predetermined. And that was the route that the Elks went to go. They found out now what they've got in Trey Ford, and now they needed to make a decision on how they're going to move forward.
Probably won't go down that road again and offer anybody else one of those colors. Then there's the always special Thanksgiving Day game where the Ottawa Red Blacks will go to Montreal, where if things go to plan, it's probably going to be Montreal putting on a clinic against a Red Blacks team that is really now just playing out the string. A Thanksgiving Day question, Dave. If there's turkey, and there probably is, I'm not asking if your wife cooks it or your mom or your mother-in-law or who's a better cook. Are you a gravy guy? Are you a cranberry sauce guy? Or are you a gravy and cranberry sauce guy? Because all depends on who makes the bird. How much moisture you got to add to it.
You know what? I'm surprised that you didn't think that I would make a turkey, but leaving that where it is, I don't believe that cranberries have any place near a turkey. Now, I know I'm in the minority even in my own household on that. But to me, you just go ahead and you do the calorie-free, as I use air quotes, calorie-free gravy and as much stuffing as you can tolerate.
It was funny growing up as a kid. So in our house, I'll eat the cranberry sauce, and one of the kids, well, the other three that won't touch it, they think it's like you. Ugh. Like, no, you didn't grow up eating some of the dry turkey Saskatchewan style back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, like I said, you needed as much moisture as possible, cranberry sauce, gravy, like you name it. Stuffing was good, and I would trust my mom's cooking, her stuffing, and my Aunt Kathy. But I had some aunts in the family that weren't good cooks, and for whatever reason, if we ended up at their house, it was like, Sometimes buns and butter was the only thing on the menu that was safe to eat because they were just not great at cooking the big meal. And little did I know that, okay, so one of the funniest episodes of The Office is when they have the dinner party at Michael and Jan's house, right? When they're over there, like snip, snap, snip, snap, and they're showing up. And she says, while everybody's there, okay, now I'm going to start dinner. Little did I know, 30 years earlier at my aunt's house, the same thing. It was about 5 o'clock, and she had declared to everybody that she was going to put the turkey in the oven to start cooking.
Wow.
Dave, but that's back when you were kids and you had to be obedient and you didn't speak up and you didn't say anything. You had to let mom and dad kind of handle that, but you're looking around like. So are you, pardon my apologies, when it comes to turkey at your house, are you the guy that cooks it, or is that somebody's responsibility? You just do it on Thanksgiving, or is that an all the time Dave Thomas cooks the turkey for every family function?
No. My mom makes a great bird, and so does my wife. But, there have been times that I've made it too. Sometimes it's a team effort. It all depends on the year.
All right. Are there plans for this Monday? Are you having a big family get-together? What's happening? What's going on?
Riders are going to be practicing on Monday, so I'm guessing. So that's where I'm going to be for sure. But of course, there's going to be a football game to consume, and I'm sure there will be a lot of turkey. And I have no idea what the plan is. I'm just I'm on a need-to-know basis, and I don't need to know. I just know that it's coming.
Need-to-know basis, like that. Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, and don't offer him cranberry sauce if you see him at Mosaic Stadium this week, as he's making his way to the broadcast booth, because he'll just keep on running. Dave, you're going to see the Jays are up 1-0. I think they're going into the second or the third inning.
I'm leaving now. Thanks a lot.
Okay. We're going to come back. We'll do a sports ticker. We're going to get you set up for what the rest of the night's going to look like. Oh, we also got the junior football report before the end of the show. This is the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM.
So since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50-50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC.
Sask Lotteries has over 50 years of winning behind us. And you know what that means? Lots of winning numbers. Numbers like over 1,200 organizations funded and 12,000 plus groups supported. $6 million given away annually in community grants. And the winningest number of all? $1.4 billion given back to the people of Saskatchewan through sport, culture, and recreation. And we're just getting started. Learn more at sasklotteries.ca.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
Bottom of the second inning, Jays are up 1-0. They scored a run in the first inning. The Yankees have a runner on first with 1 out. The count is 2-2. And the pitch, no, it's one of these, no, and we're Swing and a miss. All right. Other action, Major League Baseball Division Series. The Detroit Tigers beat the Seattle Mariners 9-3. They've tied that series at 2. Game 5 goes tomorrow. The Chicago Cubs are leading the Milwaukee Brewers 4-3 in the bottom of the 7th. Milwaukee leads that series 2-0. And tonight, the Phillies are in LA to take on the Dodgers. Dodgers up in that series 2-0. Western Hockey League action. Vancouver Giants in PA to take on the Raiders. Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, the Flin Flon Bombers in Melville to take on the Millionaires. Prairie Junior Hockey League, the Saskatoon Royals in Martinsville to play the Chiefs. Midget AAA, the Mintos in Battleford to take on the Stars. The Pat Canadians, a quick roadie down to Notre Dame. Face-off there goes at 7:30 when they play the Hounds. National Hockey League first period, Canadians and Leafs, minus Mitch Marner, tied at 1. Later on tonight, Calgary Flames taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Face-off at Rogers Place. We'll go at 8 o'clock. Dave Thomas of the Riders joined us. Close practice today. A lot going on. We don't know who the kicker is, but Dave gave his theory because they're wearing Obsidian this Friday. Some of the masks and the helmets are different, and there's people that were carrying around Obsidian masks after practice, and some that weren't. Does that tell the whole tale? We don't know. One of the guys that Dave actually had a chance to catch up with after practice today, he's been on the injured list for a lot this season, but he's back. Thomas Bertrand Houdon, and this is what he had to say.
All right, the train is back. Thomas Bertrand Houdon, what does it feel like to be back on the rails?
It feels amazing. It's a blessing to be back out there with the boys. They've been doing great all year, so just being able to add whatever I can for this team is great.
You could see the frustration in your eyes when you came back and then had to go back on that injured list. How have you overcome that mentally?
It's been a battle, but took one step every day. We have a great training staff over here. Everybody helped me out to just get back to where I was. And like I said, I'm just it's a blessing just to be back here.
The first couple of workouts, you could see, I don't want to say you were tentative, but you were definitely feeling out the injury. Have you gotten past that point, and was that a hurdle you had to overcome just by getting out there?
Yeah, I just had to get out there. Like last week, the week of practice, it was basically to test it out and just get used to it. And yeah, no, it's a full go. I'm okay. Mental's all right. I'm not scared of it anymore, so it feels good.
You got a chance to watch this team succeed throughout the summer months and find yourselves in a spot where you can clinch first place in the West Division. First, what have you seen from your group?
I mean, I've just seen resilience and fight. I mean, every game has been not necessarily blowouts and whatnot. We always were in the battle on every single one of them, and just to see those boys work and be able to go through adversity, it was amazing.
Tough to watch?
Tough to watch on the sideline, but it's still nice to celebrate with them after.
So you go down this home stretch now, you're back in the lineup, hopefully getting close to 100%, although I don't know that anybody is at this time of year. What do you need to do to make sure that you are ready to contribute during this stretch run?
Just continue to take care of myself, continue to work with the training staff, continue to work with everybody that made it possible for me to come back, and just have my trust in them and keep going.
Were you at all disappointed? You got off to such a hot start this season, and I know how hard you worked in the off-season to get your body ready.
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating, but like I said, there's always a timing for everything. I'm just glad that I can be here and be back for the important games for the rest of the season.
You mentioned that this team hasn't really blown anybody out. I know there's a lot of cardiologists in Saskatchewan that would wish that you'd maybe do that to give their job a little bit of a reprise, if you will. But having said that, what does it mean that you're maybe battle-tested now because of that?
I mean, it's just because it's a lot different than, let's say, a team that just won everything and get to the playoff, and as soon as they get adversity, they haven't been through it. We've been through it every game almost. So knowing that whenever it'll get tough and the situation, and regardless of the hype of the game, we'll be able to fight through and win it.
How important is clinching the West Division to this team and doing it this week against Toronto?
I mean, we don't really think about it. It was just 1-0 for every week, basically, and whatever we can get with every win, we'll take it.
It's nice to see number 30 back on the field. Thanks for giving us some time.
Thank you very much.
Thomas Bertrand Houdon is back. Yeah, you kind of forgot just how dominant he was when he was called on earlier in the season. Tough man to bring down. If AJ Ouellette is the hammer, TBH is another hammer that they put in there. And if you're a 5'9", 181-pound defensive back, you don't want to see TBH coming your way if you're the guy that's got to try and stop him. It's good to have him back. Dave Thomas mentioned just a couple moments ago, Toronto's coming to town this week. Yes, they are 5-11, but 9 of those 11 losses happened in the last 3 minutes. They are a team that knows how to play hang-around football. So does that change your opinion when it comes to playing SaskTel Pick the Score? Who wins on Friday? Tell us the score. And you text your first and your last name along with that to 306-936-6262. You can win tickets to a Rider game and have a crack at a SaskTel gift card. I know that without Nick Arbuckle, which would have given him their best chance to win, not playing. He's done for the season. So you're going to get Jarrett Daggy, who, remember that one game he came in? Was that against the Bombers? Looked great in relief. But that was a small slice. But if there's anybody that's a bit of a quarterback whisperer, it's Ryan Dinwiddie. And what are they going to throw at the Riders this week? So text your predictions in, SaskTel Pick the Score. And don't forget, Rider Foundation 50-50 this week. Hey, we all have that dream that in late November, we're making a roadie to Winnipeg. Maybe that's not everybody's dream. But if the Saskatchewan Roughriders are in the Grey Cup, yeah, that's some travel we can fit into our schedule. Well, why not let the Rider Foundation 50-50 take care of it? It's a Grey Cup road trip, flights to Winnipeg, so you don't have to drive. That'd be nice. 2 tickets to the Grey Cup and 2 nights at the Alt Hotel. And I'm going to assume the night before Grey Cup at the Alt Hotel or whatever hotel in Winnipeg, it's party time, no matter what hotel, what floor, what room. Somebody somewhere is probably going to invite you in and have sociable. Or you can take $4,000 cash. Entry deadline is tomorrow at 5. You can buy your tickets online at riders5050.ca. Still 1-0 for the Jays. It's the top of the 3rd inning. You know, it's a good thing the Riders are 11-4 and that the anxiety level for some of these games isn't high because it's the Blue Jays giving me midweek anxiety that normally that's reserved for watching Saskatchewan Roughrider football. We'll take a break. Our final one of the show will come back. We'll wrap things up and we'll get you the junior football report on the Sportscage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
Get it hot, get it fast, Western Pizza.
Can I help you?
Name's Terry Touchdown, sent by Western Pizza. I'm here to deliver the Saskatchewan Roughriders sweet deal. A large 3-topping pizza, 4 sticks of Greek souvlaki, a large Caesar salad, and a liter of soda. All for just $48.95 plus tax. And you're entered to win luxury suite tickets to watch the Riders, like a VIP.
And get it hot, get it fast, Western Pizza.
Hey, farmers and ranchers, do you want the next generation to know and care more about agriculture? Donate to the Acres for Education campaign by Agriculture in the Classroom Saskatchewan to help get students out of the classroom to experience agriculture. This year, every dollar donated will be matched up to $25,000 thanks to JGL, so your gift will make twice the difference. Donate at aitc.sk.ca/Acres for Education.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street. This is Sportscage. Watch our live stream at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Thanks for being part of the show. If you're just catching this last hour or you've been with us from the start, we appreciate it. If you've missed any of it, Farhan, Lalji, we had Arash, Madani, Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders. You can always go back, listen, or watch our video podcast, Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. We're at Sportscage. And don't forget about our Sportscage poll. With the Oilers taking on the Flames tonight, we want to know, with Connor McDavid signing a 2-year contract extension, will they win a Stanley Cup in the next 3 years? If you check out some social media of Oiler fans, it's not one, it's multiples. Some are even thinking 3 over the next 3, which is a little aggressive. Don't forget, if you vote, you can also sign up for the Insider newsletter at sportscage.com. Have a great night. Barney's back in tomorrow. This is the Sportscage on 620 CKRM.
This is the Sportscage Junior Football Report with Dave Thomas.
Week 10 is the final weekend of the Prairie Football Conference's regular season. Going into the final 4 games of the campaign, playoff spots and positions are up for grabs. The defending champion Regina Thunder control their own destiny. The 6-1 Thunder host the 2-5 Edmonton Wildcats on Sunday afternoon at 1 at Leibel Field. A win secures Regina a first-place conference finish and home field advantage all the way to the Canadian Bowl. Meanwhile, the Saskatoon Hilltops host Calgary. A Hilltop win coupled with a Regina loss would give them top spot in the PFC heading into the playoffs. Beyond Saskatoon and Regina, it gets interesting. Winnipeg and the Edmonton Huskies will meet with identical 3-4 records. The winner of the game will secure third spot in the conference, while the loser will need some mathematical help. Should the Calgary Colts or Edmonton Wildcats score upset wins, they'll also have 3 wins on the season, tying the loser of the Winnipeg Huskies game. That's when head-to-head points for and against, and overall points for and against will be used to determine the final playoff spot. The Regina Thunder know what's at stake on Sunday, and if I said to head coach Scott McCauley at the start of the season, you've got a chance to clinch first place at home on the final day of the regular season with a 6-1 record, he would have taken it.
100%. You know, like at the beginning of the year, I wasn't 100% sure like how things are going to play out. Just watching social media and all the things that are happening across the league, it seemed like there's a lot more parity in the league, and teams like the Edmonton Huskies and the Calgary Colts, we knew that they had picked up a lot of great players, and so, we were just hoping to get out of the first 3 weeks, being 3-0, or, at one point I'm sitting there going, man, what happens if we're 0-3? Like, how am I going to manage the team? And so things worked out in the end, and being 6-1, we'll take it.
If I look at your offense, I don't know what is more impressive. The fact that Peter Borscht has ran for 1,100 yards, that Carter Ashman throws in 455 yards, or that your offense has been able to keep your quarterback relatively clean to make and allow for you to do what you want offensively.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the most impressive part is that our quarterback has only turned over the ball once. So, interception-wise, he's done a good job managing the game and delivering the ball when we do throw to where it needs to go. Obviously, we like to have a higher completion rate with the passing game, but our offense is definitely built around our offensive line. We feel like that they're the best in the business, and we got some good running backs that are able to run behind them and follow the tracks that they need to be on. And it's been something that we've been hanging our hats on.
Defensively, Kenton Effa has racked up 29 tackles, and I've only seen a limited amount of film, but it doesn't look like a lot of teams really want to go in his direction when they're calling a play. So is that remarkable or what?
Yeah, Kenton, he's a special player. And, the last couple of years, Stephen Smith has been sort of like the leader of our defense. But to be honest, it's because Stephen Smith was in the middle of the defense, Phenomenal athlete, great player all season in the CFL. And but Kenton Effa, he was our dime. He was always towards the field side. And, he might get 50% of the plays coming his direction, right? Where when you're in the middle of the defense, like Stephen was, you can get involved in the play almost every single time. And so with Stephen's departure, Kenton Effa was moved to the inside of the defense, and he's done an outstanding job. And one of his biggest traits that we really like is that he's very good at tackling and stuff. He's not tackling guys high, he's getting low, getting eyes to the thighs, driving his feet, and he's able to bring guys down. So, guys don't want to run inside. They're having to go outside as well, but he's able to track them down there as well. So he's been a blessing.
Sunday is obviously an opportunity for you to recognize the players that have played out their junior eligibility. What does that fifth-year game, if you want to call it that, on Sunday mean to those players and the families that have become a part of your program?
Well, I think it's a big deal for them to be able to walk on the field one last time during the regular season and be kind of honored by the organization and the fans in the stands, but more importantly, the players, right? And I think that the young guys see this as an opportunity to go out there and play their hearts out, just to allow those guys to lead the field one more time with the victory. And it's, I think it's an opportunity for us to honor them. And it's not easy for guys to play 5 years of post-secondary football. Guys are going to university, or guys are, working full-time and also taking classes. Meanwhile, you have friends that maybe have moved away or gone traveling, or, moved on to full-time careers in other cities and stuff, and these guys have stayed here. So it's definitely an opportunity for us to honor their dedication to our organization and also the game of football.
What do you need to do against Edmonton to secure first place this week?
Run the rock. That's what we're going to do. It's what we do every week, I guess. But no, Edmonton's interesting. they kind of had a bit of a slow start, or like a hiccup in the middle, I guess, where they lost some games that maybe they could have won. But the last couple of weeks here, like, they definitely have some athletes, and they weren't there at the beginning of the year, so maybe they came from some youth sport programs or whatever as the season progressed. But their receivers are outstanding. They got a quarterback now that has really started to buy into their system. He's delivering the ball. So, my defense coordinator is going to tell me that we need to stop the run. I don't agree with that. I think that we need to be able to stop the pass. It's something that we need to improve on, especially after our game in Winnipeg. And they got some outstanding receivers that we're going to have to contain somehow. So that's one area that what we need to do is stop the pass. And then on the offensive side, we want to try to control the clock as much as we possibly can. And so, to me, that's like high percentage passes and also being able to run the rock. And that's something that each week we're trying to figure out different ways to gain leverage and gain some different teams and catch teams off guard.
Kickoff between the Regina Thunder and Edmonton Wildcats is Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock at Leibel Field. And that's the Junior Football Report. I'm Dave Thomas.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist.
And 1993 is the year we're going to focus on, and it was a busy one. Mutt Lange, Shania Twain were married. We also lost Conway Twitty in 1993 and David Houston. That's coming up on Crawford's No Frills Country Music Rewind.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist. Brought to you by Crawford's No Frills. Saturday afternoons at 4 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on Country's Greatest